Just because you're a football legend doesn't mean you totally light up the World Cup. These guys are just three who prove that. The struggles of some great names makes the record of Miroslav Klose even more impressive. It was in 2002 in Japan and South Korea that a 24-year-old Klose put the world on notice. At his first World Cup, he scored a hat-trick in Germany's opener against Saudi Arabia. He scored another 2 at the tournament and, well, what do you notice? Yep, 5-headed goals. The only time someone's done that in World Cup history. Germany lost in the final, but Klose had certainly raised some eyebrows. Klose scored another 5 goals and won the Golden Boot in 2006, although Germany lost in the semi-finals at their home World Cup. Totes emotion die Fans. By 2010, Klose was playing for Bayern Munich, where they clearly instilled an "I'm not scared of anything" attitude. African and English safaris look a bit different, don't they? Brilliant. Anyway, Klose returned from his excursion, got a goal against England and was on the score sheet in the quarter-final against Argentina before Germany were undone by a pack of hungry Spaniards. 4 years later, Klose was 36, but he was picked for one last World Cup, much to the German public's frustration. He hadn't had a stellar season for Lazio, but Germany didn't have many out-and-out strikers at the time. Klose, though, delivered again. He scored in the groups, and then in the semi-final, he had his record-breaking moment. Klose got Germany second in that incredible 7-1 victory over Brazil, his 16th, a new World Cup record. In fact, to really twist the knife, he snatched it from R9 in front of the Brazilian fans. Klose started the final, and his replacement, Mario Götze, well, you know what happened in extra time. And with that, Klose called it quits, taking with him the record for the most goals in tournament history and the most match wins in tournament history, as well as 2 bronze medals, a runners-up medal, and that winner's medal. The dream of every single World Cup footballer he fulfilled.
Good morning, how are we? This is the Weekend World Cup breakfast with me, Max Scott, alongside former Republic of Ireland striker Tony Cascarino. What an evening it's been of football. Sweden were given a 5-1 thumping by the Netherlands yesterday, with Brian Brobby and Cody Gakpo claiming a brace each. Somerville's goal was just the cherry on top.
The pie is Somerville. Somerville running at Lindelof, right-footed effort into the bottom left-hand corner.
We'll be looking back at that game. What a response, by the way, from Koeman's men, who were criticised from the Dutch press after that opening draw against Japan. There was also some late drama for Germany as they beat Ivory Coast 2-1 thanks to a stoppage time winner from super sub Dennis Undav.
Now Mecha guns it into the area, and Dennis Undav may well have won it.
Is he going to be Germany's main man this tournament? And Reece James sat down with talkSPORT's England correspondent Faye Carruthers and talked about how important Tuchel is in setting the tone at this tournament.
You know, we all want the same thing. You know, we're all fighting for, you know, the same goal. And, it comes from, you know, his passion and, you know, willingness to want to win.
We'll be talking plenty of England, don't you worry about that this morning. Give us a call, drop us a WhatsApp message. 81089 on text, or 03717 223344 if you want to speak to Tony Cascarino and myself. This is the Weekend World Cup breakfast on talkSPORT. Morning, Cass. How you doing? Happy Father's Day, by the way, mate.
Yes. Yeah, I went out Friday, Father's Day. I'm not doing it today.
Oh, yeah, you got a freebie or something? You got half price off?
Yeah, half price. Went somewhere and we didn't know. My missus booked it. When we got the bill, it came up with a 50% discount.
Amazing.
Which was nice because it was only just open. They offered, for the first 2 weeks, 50% discount on all meals.
Love that.
Yeah, it was good as well. Really nice.
Well, happy Father's Day to everyone out there that's celebrating that it's relevant to. Happy Father's Day, Chris Scott, legend of the game. Now, in the headlines, we didn't actually mention Japan.
No.
They've beaten Tunisia, who are now officially the whipping boys of this World Cup, Cass.
Yeah.
4-0. They were just unbelievable. They have to be, well, not people's not-so-dark horses.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Max, have I said to you, and they've played a good number of games, plus 20, how many times do you think they've lost in that 20?
I'm going to say twice.
Twice as well.
Is that it?
Yeah, twice.
They look it. They're so
it's around 20. I'm just over or just under, but they haven't been beaten for two. Well, say they've been beaten twice in 2 years. And when you watch them play, and we've already seen this in the friendlies that we've watched them playing against Scotland. I saw them against England. They've just been. I mean, they're one of the best. You've got to be careful here because they're one of the best Asia teams I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Okay. But then South Koreans will get upset because they made the the semi-finals of the World Cup in 2002. But they're as good a side as I've seen. Their movement
fluid.
and teamwork and technical ability is just sensational.
I'm at a point now where I would rather play Brazil in a knockout game than Japan. And that's credit to Japan. It's also an indictment on Brazil and where they're at. Then, Of course, they wouldn't be easy to beat, but I would rather England play Brazil than Japan. That is credit to the work that they have done because they were so fluid and just impossible.
Yeah, I mean, look,
for Tunisians to play against.
The opposition they've beat. Let's get it right, Max. That they were. It was an easy game for them in the end, wasn't it? The way they played in the game. So I would say, look. They're definitely a side that are going to hurt others.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone will enjoy playing against them because their movement, their technical ability, they're actually quite a physical team as well.
Yeah,
and they're not the biggest, but they do get stuck in and close you down and make you work really hard.
Absolutely, intensity. I think they're going to get a big scalp in this tournament. Hopefully, it's not England's. But let's start with the Germans, who, in dramatic fashion, saw off the Ivory Coast, booking their place into the next round of the World Cup.
Four times winners, Germany, up against an Ivory Coast team that has never made the knockout phase of a World Cup. But if they win this game, they will break that hoodoo. Left-footed ball in is a really good one to the far post and smashed in on the rebound. Franck Kessié, their leader.
But Diamande showing the world why he's one of the most sought-after players in the world.
Here's Amiri, right foot cross, it's a good one, and volleyed home by Dennis Undav. That's what he does. Julian Nagelsmann needed a hero, and one arrived in the shape of Dennis Undav. It's 1-1.
It's a fantastic cross from Amiri, a really good run, and Germany are back into the game.
Now Mecha guns it into the area, and Dennis Undav may well have won it. An extraordinary record for Germany. He's becoming their talisman.
It's the first touch that sets it up. It's a great finish. 2-1 Germany.
Deadly Dennis at the double. He is a super sub extraordinaire.
Yeah, it was Dennis Undav who emerged as Germany's hero with that dramatic 94th minute winner that completed his country's 2-1 comeback win, booking their place in the World Cup knockout stages for the first time in 3 tournaments, 2018, 2022, they were knocked out at this stage. Captain Franck Kessié opened the scoring for Ivory Coast. Undav came off the bench, score a brace in the second half, including that mentioned stoppage time decider. Entertaining stuff, Cass.
It was a good game, really good game. Ivory Coast were good, and they got themselves an early lead. The way they played just really caused Germany a lot of problems. Another one, this is so strange how football works. It reminded me of Schillaci in 1990, the size of him.
Yeah.
Schillaci came into the tournament with Italy as a sub and ended up dislodging Gianluca Vialli. Wasn't the biggest, but great technically. I mean, his second goal was just a joy to watch. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's literally, he takes it with his right foot and hits it with his left within a split second. Keeper's got no chance. And again, how old do you think he is?
Dennis Undav, I'm going to say 31.
No, he's 29, but he's come really late to the party.
Yeah.
He's played in Belgium. Obviously, he's played at Brighton. I think he played for the team that Tony Bloom owned in Belgium. And then they brought him to Brighton, and then obviously they sold him on. But he's just a goal scorer. You can see it. He's got goals written.
Yeah.
The way he took his second goal, that is telling you that that's someone who's really confident in front of goal.
We talk about him getting better with age, Cass. I mean, he's 29 years old. It reminds me, of course, I'm going to bring Forest into it. Chris Wood had his best couple of seasons in his career later on at Nottingham Forest. And he's the second best goal scorer in the Bundesliga. He's a way off Harry Kane.
Yeah.
He scored 19 goals in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, no, he's got goals everywhere he's been. He's just that you can see I mean, for someone with not the physical stature, because he's a little bit like the Gert Muller type, who's a long way back, but that look about him, not the biggest, but anything close in around his body, he's got such quick feet.
You as a striker, Cass, what is it about strikers getting better with age some of the time? Obviously not all the time, but what is it about having played for longer that makes you score more goals?
I think experience is a big thing, Max, because I don't think, and this is a criticism myself here, I don't think I knew how to really score goals at times in my early part of the career.
Yeah.
I got goals, but I didn't think I was a striker that really knew how to get goals. And I think I learned as I got older, and especially by the time I moved to France, that I had a great time at Millwall and scored lots of goals. Obviously at Gillingham, at Villa, I'd done okay I think I played 40 odd games with Villa, got 11 goals, 40 games, 11 goals. But I don't think I was were
you relying
a mature
on natural ability
striker
during the earlier years?
on my rawness as a player. I was quite raw. So I think you learn. But I was lucky enough. If I said to you some of the strikers I played with, whether it was Sheringham, whether it was, the likes of Kerry Dixon, who was a phenomenal goal scorer at Chelsea, Clive Allen got 49 goals in one season with Spurs. He was an incredible striker. I didn't get coached by Jean-Pierre Papin, but he was there quite a few times, and we done a few training sessions together, where he done setups, and he was one of the great Marseille strikers, and there was others in there, just strikers of very, very high ability, and Mick Hartford, and then internationally it's John Aldridge, from Liverpool, and John was just a goal scorer. I say just a goal scorer. He just knew how to get goals.
Yeah. I mean, fair play to Dennis Undav. Like, we love to see it. Not necessarily a name that everybody would know about. Yeah, he's played in England, etc. But great for him. Now, we've been speaking. We spoke to Ralf Honigstein, I think, last week, the German football expert, who really doesn't fancy Germany to go that far. Have they done anything in beating a really good Ivory Coast team, by the way? Who were disappointed that they didn't put their foot down or maybe just protect their lead when Germany equalised. But have Germany done anything for you, Cass, to convince you maybe that they've got more in the tank?
What I would say, they're better than what I thought they would be.
Okay.
What I've seen in the group stages so far, I didn't think Germany would. I thought they'd struggle so far in this World Cup. And okay, the carousel game, you can say that they went in 1-1 when the drinks break happened, and then literally blew carousel away afterwards. But I still been surprised how well. I thought they played all right last night, but that was a really tough game, Ivory Coast.
Yeah, it was. Great win for Germany. They're in the tournament. They've qualified for the knockout rounds for the first time since 2014. So fair play to Julian Nagelsmann, man of the match performance from Dennis Undav. But next up, we're going to get stuck into that Dutch demolition job of Sweden. Get up there, James Brown. You're listening to the Weekend World Cup Breakfast. Me, Max Scott, Marseille striker Tony Cascarino. Lovely vibes, a legend, James Brown, to get us woken up this morning. A song about a dad, this is. Papa's got a brand new band.
Yeah.
Song about a dad who finds the courage to get out on the dance floor, get in the groove on his special day. And that, of course, being Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Yeah. Have you ever seen James Brown dance?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. One of the greatest, if not the greatest. I mean, I would put Michael Jackson and Prince up there, that they're the greatest dancers that I've seen. But James Brown was pretty unique.
Are you a dancer, Cass?
No.
I hear on the grapevine, that's not the case.
No, Max, it's hard for big guys, isn't it? Tall guys. We feel like we're
Speak for yourself, Cass.
Oh, you're out there.
I'm a mover.
Are you?
Absolutely, mate. I love it.
Can you do anything robotic or not?
Oh, yeah, I try my best to emulate the great Peter Crouch, but not quite on his level.
The guy in the in-betweeners, was it Neil who used to do the robotics? Do you remember Neil? I used to love it when he used to do all the old dances.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that I remind you of him.
Yeah,
by the way,
that's it.
So, yeah, look, how about this then? What's one thing, this is something I want to ask our listeners, right? What's one thing you've got better at as you've gotten older? Because what we've just seen Dennis Undav in the prime of his career at 29. He's had a bit of a minnows footballing career before that. We'll talk about this later. But Curaçao's goalkeeper, Eloy Room, 15 saves last night against Ecuador. Second most in any World Cup game. And this is after Vozinha, the 40-year-old Cape Verde keeper, unbelievable performance against Spain. 8-10-89, what's one thing you've got better at as you've got older? I would say, to be fair, dancing. Yeah. I'm actually quite flexible for a big man, Cass.
Well, you are. You're not. You're very lean.
Yes.
Although you're 6'5". Would that be Matt?
6'7", Cass.
6'7". Oh, you're bigger than I actually thought. I know, because obviously when I stand next to you, Max, I always think, cool, he's a big lad. So you're same as Peter Crouch, yeah?
Just, I reckon I'm a bit under him.
Oh, right, just a tad. Yeah. Well, I would, if you said to me, most people would laugh, because as you do get to a certain age, people say you moan a lot. You moan more.
You're better at moaning, are you?
Yeah, probably the best thing, I'm more patient. I don't get as fiery as I used to be. You know, when I was younger, you could get, say, one of them moments you just could lose it. You do that a lot easier when you're younger. When you're older, you just think, do you know what? Don't worry about it. You know, you get that sort of attitude. I think I got way better at that. I don't know. I can't think of it. I'm not good at DIY or anything like that. I've never, ever gone down that road.
Do you employ a handyman to?
Yes, absolutely. My missus is way better than me. She loves doing.
Would you employ a handyman to put up like a big picture that needs drilling?
Yeah. No, my missus would do that.
She'd do that. Okay,
Yeah. She's good at all that. She loves it. She. You can give her stuff and she'll get out the box and she'll start putting it together and I'm like, I'm watching the golf.
Fair play to her. But yeah, key text coming in 8-10-89. What's one thing you got better at as you've got older? Now, as this tournament's got older, Netherlands have gotten better. How about that for a segue? Draw against Japan in the first game, but they've absolutely blown away Sweden in an absolute goal fest. Here's how it sounded on talkSPORT.
An all-European clash with one express intention. Avoid Brazil towards the halfway line. Brobbey's done well on the half turn just to shepherd it back. Cody Gakpo making his way for Brobbey. 1-0. Hasn't taken long. Lift off in Houston. Another great ball in. Oh, it's taken a little nick on its way through, but has deceived the goalkeeper and he's crept into the far post.
The Dutch have started this game immaculately, I've got to say, and it's that man Brobbey again.
This hydration break cannot come soon enough for Graham Potter. Great ball in. It's 3-0. Cody Gakpo coming into the far post, could not miss, but it's all about Denzel Dumfries. Finding Cody Gakpo, 4-0. Drilled low into the bottom left-hand corner.
If you want to see goals, this is the group to come and see them.
Anthony Elanga past Van Aken's challenge, and there's one back for Sweden. Somerville running at Lindelof, right-footed effort into the bottom left-hand corner. It's finished here in Houston. Netherlands 5, Sweden 1.
Yeah, the Netherlands cruise past Sweden 5-1 to all but mathematically guarantee a place in the last 32 of the World Cup. Cody Gakpo and Brian Brobbey with two braces. and then Crescencio Somerville adding a 5th. Anthony Elanga got the consolation for the Swedes. Now, we were speaking to Dutch football expert Marcel van der Kraan yesterday, Cass, who said that after some criticism from the Dutch media, Ronald Koeman, the manager of Netherlands, admitted in the press conference, I was too defensive, shouldn't have brought off Somerville for Nathan Ake, etc. We're going to go for it. And boy, did he do that. Fair play to him.
Yeah, they were good last night. And again, we talked about Undav, what he did for Germany, and then Robbie comes in for the Netherlands and gets a brace and gets it early, and they just had a different dynamic. The ball was fizzing over the in front of the 6-yard box yesterday, and they were good. Sweden had their chances, by the way. This was a 5-1, but Sweden had chances in the game, Max. So we mentioned earlier with the 1-0 up, and Sweden could have easily got an equaliser.
Yeah, Jokeres has a half decent opportunity.
Yeah, they had a few. So they're a decent side, the Netherlands. They're another team that I think they've been better than what I thought they would be. But I'll tell you what is setting up. Sweden against Japan, because Sweden obviously won their first game, 5-1. But they beat Japan. That takes Japan to 4th, and probably with 4 points they'll get through anyway. But that's a good game. It's a real tough one for Sweden.
It's a tricky group, this one, with Japan, Sweden and the Netherlands. But can we talking about Undav before the break? Brian Robbie comes in, didn't start the last game. For me, he's the difference maker for the Netherlands. So strong, so quick, so direct. Coming in short with Gakpo on the wing, and just a link-up play there made Netherlands much more direct and much more difficult to play against.
He left Somerville out, didn't he?
Yes.
And Somerville came on and scored. I personally think that what he did, if you take his first goal, the set-up play, then the movement, then he gets Freddie through and finishes brilliantly. I think that is a big thing that he will give the Netherlands, a springboard to attacks.
Yeah.
The Somerville's as player they still got to use, because I like Somerville. I think he's got that pace and that directness and looks like he wants to be brave on the ball all the time. So I think he will still play a lot of football.
You've got Marlon on the other side, Gakpo and Marlon. Marlon's pace is unbelievable as well. So I can see why Somerville would be disappointed.
Well, Marlon didn't even he wasn't even on the subs bench yesterday, was he? So
Marlon started yesterday. He was
oh no, sorry, I'm thinking of Somerville. But Somerville is a player. Marlon, they got a choice. What the choice is now is going to be, it's going to be Brobby, Somerville, Gakpo. Dumfries is on the side. He's another one who's direct as a wing back, because he's more of a fullback come wing back. But there's a lot of good things in the Dutch team. If you look at their back line, there's a lot of good players. Timber can't even get in the side.
Yeah, I think Timber's.
I know he's injured. Yeah. He's been injured, but he you think he's do well to get back in that team.
Talk to me about Cody Gakpo, Cass. He scored a brace. Obviously, Liverpool season.
Well, Liverpool fans get frustrated with him.
Do you think he's underutilised at Liverpool? Do you think he's been given ample opportunity last season to show what he's worth?
Well, Liverpool fans will say to you that he's too predictable and he'll come inside way too often and shoot way too often as well. But he's always got decent numbers in goals. And I think he looks a little bit more settled in his international setup. They depend a lot on him, the Netherlands, the way they play. And Koeman obviously really likes him. So he does offer a lot. I just think Liverpool fans got frustrated with him because at times the way he plays. And I think it was a tough season for him personally anyway, because Liverpool played poorly.
Yeah.
Liverpool didn't have nothing like the season. And he was one of a number of players that had been way better in the year before they won the league. So there's a player in. He's so big, isn't he? Look, he's 6'1", 6'2" for a winger, and he can play the centre forward role. I just don't think he's as effective as a centre forward. He's better coming in off the left.
What about Sweden? Graham Potter's side, maybe that we've seen Tunisia now ship 9 goals over 2 games, shipped 5 against Sweden. Do you think that result flattered to deceive? And how do you think they're going to get on against the Japan, who we're absolutely raving about at the minute?
Well, it's a fantastic test for Sweden, because yesterday, they won their first game 5-1. Okay, that was Tunisia. And then they got beat up yesterday, but they had enough chances in the game. And they also know that they can try and get something. They might even try and hold on to get that draw. But I think the Japanese are such a tough side to play. They only play one way. I don't think the Japanese team can go with a player style that is conservative. Their whole style is to be attacking. as what we saw this evening. And we saw that against the Netherlands. So it's a tough game for them because I don't think Japan looked like a team that's going to draw too many games.
No. John, the happy England fan, says, morning, lads, great show. Do you think we're seeing the end of playing out from the back and a return to a more direct style of football?
I think there's less of it. Yeah, I'd agree there's less of it. Look, it's high-risk football. The main argument I have with it is if you lose the ball in a certain area, if your goalkeeper tries to pass out to someone on the edge of the box, if you lose that ball in that area, you are given a situation away that is even better than a penalty. You're given a one-on-one.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to realise that that's just too high risk. You don't have to. You can play it from the back, but when it's on. And I think we've seen teams who have deliberately gone down this style of just saying, well, it doesn't matter, we'll play it from the back wherever we are on the pitch. And I think that's wrong. I think you have to, if the team know you're going to do it, it's not hard to get past. Even the best players in the world who are great on the ball, they could lose the ball.
Yeah. John, I hope you're right, mate, because I think that more direct style of football is a bit more akin to that we saw in the 90s, for example, when I fell in love with watching football. It's much more entertaining. I think you're more likely to see it in tournament football as well, particularly
Max,
when the smaller teams are against the big teams.
Well, would you also go along, the idea of you don't have a problem with a team that wants to play, but you've got to be good at it, haven't you? Like, because Man City have always done it, but they've had the best players in the world.
Don't do what Vincent Kompany did with Burnley. Don't do what Russell Martin did with Southampton. Don't do it. If you can do it and it wins you games, like for Manchester City, you can't complain. No. But don't try and be a poor imitation of Pep Guardiola, essentially, which is what is happening. If you've got big players, if you've got strong physical players, use them, be direct. We've seen it be successful in the Premier League, and I think we're seeing it be successful in this World Cup. Yeah. Coming up, we're going to take a short look away from the World Cup and get into the mind of Ironman athletes, how they deal with the heat that we're seeing cause some issues for some players at this World Cup. You're listening to the Weekend World Cup Breakfast on talkSPORT.
Now, earlier in the show, we asked the all-important question. Who was faster in their pomp? Kyle Walker or Gabby Agbonlahor? Well, talkSPORT's Anil Kandala was at the talkSPORT fan zone at Villa Park last night for England against Croatia, and he put that question to some of the fans in attendance.
It's a tough call, but I'd go for Gabby. He was awesome, and no defender wants anybody with that pace running at them. So I'd go for Gabby.
Quicker than Kyle Walker?
I think so. Yeah, I do. And I'm sure Gabby would agree with me.
Gabby. Well, he used to dart across the field, didn't he? I think he's better than Kyle, to be honest.
Well, we had Kyle on loan for us for many years ago, and he was quick, but Gabby was quicker.
And there you go. It might be a little bit unfair because Gabby Agbonlahor is in that building behind me, but it seems that Gabby's got the vote.
Right, the rest of the world. He actually spoke to about 100 people who were there, but we only decided to show 3. Okay,
I clipped that up for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what though? When I think about Kyle, when I go back to that game, Kyle, of like I think it might be Germany at Wembley, and you was right side of the 3, but like you was all the way in the right back position, and I was at the game, mate, and you come sprinting across, mate. Someone was through on goal. I can't remember who it was. Muller. It was Muller, yeah. I'm like, where has this guy come from? And you've done that for the last 15, 16 years, mate. Your centre-half pairings with England and Manchester City must have been looking at you thinking like, okay, maybe I can leave a bit of space in behind, because you would always just come out of nowhere and cover.
Yeah, I think that was what my game was based on. I probably didn't create that much going forward with assists and stuff. I chipped in with a few, but not as much as probably what I should have done. So my main game when I got a little bit older was to make sure I can.
Yeah, good morning. You're listening to the World Cup Weekend Breakfast with me, Max Scott, alongside former Nancy striker Tony Cascarino. Keep your texts coming in, 81089. Adrian from Northampton has messaged in saying, loving the show, boys, on my way down to the London to Brighton bike ride. Good luck to everybody taking part, enjoying the listen. Yeah, good luck with that, Adrian. We've also been asking you, what do you get better at with age? This is after we've seen so many older players in this World Cup perform, particularly the goalkeepers. Now, one bull from South Wales has sent something in that I cannot read on air at this time, but we've got a good one from Blair, right, who's on his way to a paddle game in Essex. He says, as I went from 25 to 41, I got my marathon time from 3 hours to 2.5, and my 5K time from 24 minutes to 15 dead. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, that's good. That's great stuff. It's a proper athlete.
Absolutely. 81089. What are you getting better at with age? But some of your headlines this morning. Wyndham Clark has taken a commanding 6-shot lead into the final round of the US Open. 7-shot lead. 7-shot lead. Fair play to Wyndham Clark. And George Hendy's 2 tries in 3 second-half minutes secured Northampton Saints the Prem title as they beat Exeter 26-17 in the final at Twickenham. It was brought to you live yesterday on talkSPORT 2.
It's Northampton ball. The clock hits 0. Alex Mitchell, hands on the ball, 5 metres out from his own try line, fires it back to Finn Smith. He puts it into the west stand. The Northampton Saints are the champions for 2026. They get their 3rd title after winning in 2014, winning in 2024. You can add 2026 to the list of titles. They win 26-17.
Yeah, congratulations to Northampton Saints winning the Gallagher Prem title. That was live on talkSPORT 2. And interestingly, there were 2 hydration breaks at Twickenham during the game. Fans were heard booing that at HQ. And Cass, we're joined by a special guest now who I'm sure is going to have a good take on hydration breaks. This is British triathlete star who's gearing up for major World Championship campaigns in France and Hawaii this autumn. And as a world-class athlete who's conquered the heat and humidity of Hawaii, she offers a unique perspective on how elite competitors can handle extreme physical stress and hostile climates. Delighted to welcome in 3-time Ironman world champion Lucy Charles-Barclay. Good morning, Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
Good morning. Hi, guys.
Lucy, what do you make of these World Cup players, star football elite athletes, given hydration breaks in climate-cooled environments? as an Ironman champion, you must be there thinking, they don't need this.
Yeah, I mean, my race takes around 8 to 9 hours. We don't get a hydration break. We're racing in the heat and humidity of Hawaii, which is absolutely brutal. And whilst there is water out there for us to grab, we're never going to get stop the clock and sit down, have some water. It's just not how it works. So, yeah, it's interesting to see that that's what they get. I guess there's different elements to it in terms of ad breaks and people watching, but never going to happen in triathlon.
Lucy, I've got to ask you, when did you first get involved in this Ironman challenges? And because I always, when I hear people talk about it, they have to be sort of pretty crazy in their head to even consider doing some of these ridiculous feats.
Yeah, it's not normal. I actually started out as a swimmer when I was younger. So I swam a little bit for Team GB. I was trying to make the London Olympics in the 10K marathon swim, which is a pretty difficult event in itself. It lasts for about 2 hours. And then when I missed out on the London Olympics, I made the switch to triathlon and the Ironman triathlon, which is the endurance event that is absolutely ridiculous. The training is insane if you want to do it at professional level. So I would agree that you have to be slightly nuts to do it. Definitely to do it and get enjoyment from it, you have to be a bit crazy. But yeah, I am actually loving it, even though the training is insane and then the racing is brutal as well.
Tell us your day, Lucy. Tell us your day, wake up and, just your normal training day.
Yeah, I wake up at 5 most days, start the day with a swim, anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours, come home, have some breakfast, normally my second breakfast actually. Then I might get a little break to take my dogs for a walk, come home, and then I'm on the bike for anywhere from 2 hours to 5 hours, depending on the training for that day. And then typically I'll train 3 times a day. So there'll either be a run after that or a strength session. In a week, roughly, I'm training about 30 hours plus. So yeah, it's a lot.
That's intense, Lucy. Talk to us about preparing for the heat and humidity, and what sort of things might the England and Scotland national teams been doing to prepare themselves for a climate that they're not used to one bit?
Yeah, so typically 6 weeks out from the World Championships in Hawaii, I'll start my heat training. And normally I'm doing that on the bike indoors. I'll wear like this insulated sweatsuit basically to get my core temperature up to where it needs to be, which is generally about 2 degrees above baseline. And then you're in that realm where you can actually adapt to the heat. I'll do that from kind of 3 to 4 hours if I can. I obviously build it up gradually. And then if you want to keep that adaptation going, once you finish the heat stimulus of cardio, you can go into a sauna or a hot bath and try and stay in there for as long as you can. And that's kind of like the passive heat training, but it's completely spoiled saunas and baths as being like a nice luxury thing. I never want to do them because they're part of my heat training. But yeah, I guess the footballers would have done something similar. They typically say as well, when you're training or racing in a hot climate, it takes about 2 weeks to adapt to the conditions on the ground. So that's why I tend to prepare for maybe 6 weeks before, and then I'll travel to the venue that I'm racing at least 2 weeks before as well to make sure I'm fully adapted.
Lucy, I'm not going to feel sorry for you because Hawaii is a beautiful setting, an incredible place to go.
So she's not there on the beach.
No, but if you've ever been there, Max, and it is beautiful, Hawaii, all the islands and that. But anyway, look, what I would say is that, doing this as I take it, is it your job really as well, Lucy? Are you sponsored?
Yeah, it's my full-time job. I've got some amazing sponsors that support me and super lucky. But yeah, going to Hawaii is pretty nice, but we don't really, when we're racing, we're not taking it in. Maybe after the race, we get a day on the beach to recover. But yeah, it's pretty brutal out there.
Yeah, I was just trying to, go the other way because it's just what you're doing is, to me, is just like insane. It's just like fair play to you. Brilliant stuff.
Lucy, tell us about, you've told us how you kind of reinvented yourself essentially from being a Team GB swimmer into a 3-time world champion Ironman athlete. What's coming up next for you? What have you got your eyes on?
Yeah, so the big races for me coming up is the Half Ironman World Championships, which is in Nice in September. And then I'm back in Hawaii for the Full Ironman World Championships in October. So at the moment, I'm doing a nice kind of block of training whilst the weather's good in the UK. And then I normally head off to Lanzarote in August to do a training block out there where it's a bit hotter, start the heat prep for Hawaii. And yeah, hopefully gear up for 2 more world titles.
Oh, wow. Well, I think we trained with Millwall. We went to Lanzarote. There's a big training complex there, isn't there, Lucy?
Yeah, I train out of Club La Santa. I was actually there earlier in the year where I raced the Ironman in Lanzarote, which again is probably one of the toughest Ironmans because it's so hot and so windy out there. But yeah, it's an amazing training facility for anyone, but particularly triathletes. It's got 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools, running track, gym, then the whole island to cycle. So it really makes my job a lot easier.
Is it growing, Lucy? Because I've got a friend whose son does these Ironman challenges, and he goes to different parts of the world. So is he growing in the numbers of more people wanting to do it?
Yeah, I definitely say since I came into triathlon, which is about 10 years now, the sport has been absolutely booming. There's pretty much more than one triathlon or Ironman triathlon every weekend you can pick from around the world. So yeah, if you're keen to get in, you're not going to be short of events to sign up for.
Lucy, absolutely amazing stuff, and good luck for that half Ironman championship. We'll be keeping our eyes peeled for that, and hopefully speak to you soon.
Good luck, Lucy. Thank you. Great stuff.
Cheers, guys.
3-time Ironman world champion Lucy Charles Barkley.
Great,
Unbelievable.
I mean, we sit, like we're in a studio here, and I've played professional football. I know you've done sport as well, Max. Yeah. And you think of all the training you do and the hard days of pre-season as a player. And then you listen to someone like Lucy, and it's like a completely different world.
Unbelievable.
And you've got to be somewhere, to have the mental capacity to be able to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Now, we've also been asking you for what you've gotten better at with age, 8, 10, 89. So John says I got better at shopping I used to buy everything that caught my eye and then chucked it away at the end of the week. Derek, the Forest fan up the tricky trees, says he's currently in Cyprus working. I'm 63 years old. I'm better at judging people. Who you need in your life and who you don't. Come on, you Reds. Great text, Derek. Keep them coming in. 81089. You're listening to the Weekend World Cup Breakfast on Talk Sport. Next up, we're going to delve into the back pages.
You mentioned Perisic. They've got players in their side. Modric, you know, they're the wrong side of 35, right? These players have been in their team for a long, long time. And we're not struggling, but the first 45, I'm watching it thinking, how is this happening again?
But also, you've got to think, right? I get what you're saying, but also, there's going to be a few nerves kicking about.
Yeah.
Right? These guys, as you said there, have been around for such a long time, so they just understand, they're comfortable where they are. Modric, Perisic, these guys, they just know what it takes to get to that, to get to that level. But it's. I think there's a lot of boxes that Thomas Tuchel would have ticked. I thought the team selection he got wrong. But in my personal,
who do you get wrong?
I would have started Rashford.
Yeah, me too.
And Mark Gahey has to play. He has to play.
Talk about what you're saying outside about the balance of the centre halves.
Because John Stones, he naturally plays on the right hand side, right? And it's Maguire that usually plays on the left when it was those two. When you move John Stones out to the left, naturally he doesn't go that way to Nico O'Reilly, which is why he barely touched the ball. He couldn't go that way.
And Anthony Gordon hardly received the ball in the first
Exactly. Mark Gahey naturally plays on the left side. So he's used to receiving the ball from the right-hand side and going out to the left. But that just wasn't there, which is why we hardly saw anything down that left-hand side. But yeah, I would have started Mark Gahey and I would have started Rashford for sure. They would have been my first two on the not on the team sheet, but they're the two that I would have started with.
So you would have started with Rashford on the left. What about the other side? Would you have started with Noni?
Yeah, probably, because Saka, I'm not sure. I don't know how fit Saka is.
Okay. Looked good when he come on, though.
Looked really good. Looked like hungry.
Yeah.
But that's a good problem you've got. But at the end of the day, the quality shone through second half. Even though there were moments towards the end of the second half, before Rashford scored, I was thinking, oh my goodness, they're on top again. They're starting to move the ball. They're getting into their rhythm. Their substitutions made a big difference. But then Rashford comes on and just does what he does.
Yeah.
The sharp turn, the finish.
Good morning, this is the Weekend World Cup Breakfast live on YouTube, on your radio, on your smart TV. I'm Max Scott. Lurking at the back post, it's Tony Cascarino, 81089. We're asking what you get better at with age. Griff says, hi lads, I was already brilliant at everything, especially modesty. Tony F says he's better at annoying his wife. But right now we're building up and reacting to a huge summer of football. Here's what's coming up on talkSPORT today. Yeah, from 10 a.m, it's the warm-up with Max Rushton and Charlie Baker. The World Cup Weekender with Johnny Owen and Sean Dyche is live from 1 till 4. Then some huge nations in action tonight, all of which we're providing you live commentary of on talkSPORT. Spain, bad start to their World Cup take on Saudi Arabia. That starts at 4 p.m. Belgium versus Iran is from 7 p.m. And then Cape Verde versus Uruguay is from 10 p.m. on till late. Be sure to keep it talkSPORT so you never miss a thing this World Cup. Okay, right now, though, it's time for some of this. Turning our attention to the back pages, producer Gab's in the building. Gab, why is this your song?
Well, you need to understand the Weekend Breakfast lore. Okay. Basically, I am Gabs, but I'm not the only Gabs in the building. Gabby Bonglahor is the original Gabby, you know? So unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunately, I like the nickname now. Shabana's called me Baby Gabs, and Baby by Justin Bieber is just a very fitting song. I'm not complaining, by the way. But there is actually something I am complaining about. I'll be honest.
Go on.
Cass, you're not going to like me for this.
Go on.
Because me and you were talking. We were talking about fast food, and I know you're not a fan of pizzas, burgers, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
However, you told me there is something that you are a big supporter of.
Well, I didn't say supporter.
No, you did, really.
I have not had one. I know what you're going to say. Go on.
A burger, but not with, a patty, cheese, all that inside. A burger with pasta noodles inside.
That
sounds horrible.
You say you're privy to one of them.
No, I haven't had one, but I've seen it and people eating it. And if you like burgers, you like pasta, you could go, well, I wonder what that's like as a mix. But
Absolutely.
I'm told that a lot of people say it's really nice. It's like spaghetti, isn't it?
Yeah, but like you can't be doing that.
I
You can't mix
know,
them,
but I think it's in America. Is it in America they
do everything in America.
Yeah, I think in
They
America
do all
you-
sorts of concoctions.
it's like the latest sort of dish of what you can mix. Burger and pasta in a roll.
Well, Italian food is very sacred over there, so there's some things that just don't mix. And unfortunately for me, I don't know if you.
Well, no, I'm not.
or not. That's not a bit of me.
I'm not the biggest fan of pizza.
I don't know why either.
I'm not. I just never have been.
So if we were all on a weekend breakfast, everybody said pizza, you'd be the
Yeah,
one that'd be like,
I'm okay with it. I'm not. Don't go mad on pizza.
Gabs, we've been talking this morning a little bit. Obviously, you've been hearing about getting better with age. Speaking of getting better with age and whether or not he is, you've got a story regarding Cristiano Ronaldo.
I do indeed. There is a good piece in the Times by Martin Samuel. Age is catching up with Ronaldo in public. Portugal should spare him. His desperation is merely to contribute, but increasingly, even this is beyond him. And it is, in regards to his performance in the first World Cup game versus the DR Congo, obviously, that was a 1-1 result. Portugal, you'd like to think, would have wanted to win that game and have a good start to the tournament. But his performance up top was criticised for, obviously, not being the Ronaldo that we know and expect. When you think of Cristiano Ronaldo, you think of the Ballon d'Ors, you think of, somebody that's almost amassing 1,000 career goals. But not just, in the first game, but it's been a little bit of a pattern over the last, few World Cups. And as he's advanced with age, obviously, he's over 40 years old, so you shouldn't be expecting, prime Ronaldo. But, there is an argument, and Martin Samuel is making it here, Cass, that there is a stage where, whether it be Roberto Martinez or, whoever is, the Ronaldo whisperer, somebody probably has to have a conversation with him, say, this is probably not working anymore.
Yeah, well, look, even players in such a privileged position, which he is, and he's earned that right. I mean, I'm watching him. My problem was that if you're contributing nothing to what we know you're capable of, then how do you get a place in the team? Because you're hurting the team. I can't see Portugal win the World Cup or even being close, having Ronaldo in there, who isn't having... Well, he didn't show for the ball. He didn't win any headers. He was standing behind two defenders, literally two centre-halves all the time. And literally, I just felt you can't be allowed to, get away with it. Because if there was a young lad up front and had that type of game, he wouldn't be used in the next game. No way on earth would he be. But we're all basing of what he's done before. And this isn't the case. Look, we've all had bad games. I said this to Max yesterday. We've all had bad games. I've had plenty of them. But if you have a bad game and you're giving the ball away, but you're still getting on the ball, or things not working for you, it's more acceptable. But if you're on the fringe of the game for the whole 90 minutes without being noticed, that's different.
Do you know what really surprised me? Whether it's the television coverage or people coming on talkSPORT afterwards, Portugal football experts, is that almost to a man, they still defend Cristiano Ronaldo. And look, Wayne Rooney, legend. He knows more about football than I will ever know in my life. But at half-time in that DR Congo game, when Portugal were 1-0 up, he was waxing lyrical about Ronaldo's movement. He was essentially saying that because he stood behind the striker, they don't know where he is. But he was offside all the time, Cass. And he was just sort of walking around. There was very little movement.
Yeah.
And so for me, surely Roberto Martinez has to make a big call, but a simple call, really, and not start him in the next game.
Yeah, well, to me, it seems quite obvious. I use one of my favourite lines now. He was outstanding. The problem is everyone else was out running. And it was that sort of performance. Yeah. He was standing way too often. And we all know he's he's one of the greatest players ever played the game.
Yeah.
No one denies that, but we're all judging him on what he did before. And even look, we know he's got that type of ego that Ronaldo has always felt. It's me type of attitude. Some people don't like that, but it's made him the great player he was. But he hasn't got... the one thing that stood out for me in the game is that he didn't even have his leap. You know that great leap hanging? He didn't do that once in the game where he won a header or had a header that went wide of the post. He didn't do anything like that. And I felt, God, this is nothing like the Ronaldo. Look, they're playing Uzbekistan, I think, tomorrow, aren't they?
Yes.
So it'll be a big call if he plays him again. And if he does, I'll be prepared to eat humble pie. But long term over this tournament, I don't see Ronaldo hurting any defender of any quality in the latter stages. I don't see it.
Rory Jennings has got a £5,000 charity bet with Piers Morgan saying that he won't score. Obviously, Piers Morgan is the number one member of the paid-up Cristiano Ronaldo fan club. Do you think that?
Well, that's
who's gonna win that bet, Cass, right now?
Well, he's got to score against Uzbekistan tomorrow, I think, because he might not be playing in the team after that.
Yeah,
and he might not be in the team tomorrow night. Look, there is an agenda. Look, Pierce is very much a big Arsenal fan, and sometimes you can listen to he's quite blinded by his love for Arsenal, which I get. He's a fan of the club, but he's also a man that's had him on his TV show, or he's and when you're not being honest there. I don't think anyone can be honest. Any ex-player that played with him, or someone like Rooney who's talking, and there's been others. I think deep down we'd secretly all be going, he can't play now. After that one game. And watching him, I was shocked that what I didn't see, not was what I did see, like as in you misplacing passes. Okay, we've all done that. We've all missed headers. But he wasn't even getting them either.
Movement, particularly compared to Messi's performance as well, who's clearly still at a much higher level.
Well, he's a few years younger as well.
Yeah, he is.
He's not the same age as Ronaldo, but he's still in his 30s, late 30s.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question in regards to that? Because you bring up the Messi comparison, and it seems to me anyway, Cass, I'll bring the question to you in regards to the players for Argentina actually want to, play with him and make sure that he's always in the best positions and make sure that they're giving everything. Do you think that's the same with the Portuguese players in regards to they have a situation with Ronaldo, but they don't want to play with him the same way?
No, but Lionel Messi, is play and move player, isn't he? He's brilliant. He'll take the ball and he'll keep it. And he'll sometimes walk. I mean, last World Cup they molested him how many times he walked in the game, didn't he? But when he walked, he just suddenly came alive and got the ball and then moved it quickly. So that's different from the way that Ronaldo plays.
That's fair. I have a couple more stories as well. This one England related actually. There's a story in the Times by Matt Loughton. How Rashford recovered from his lowest point, out in the cold after losing focus at United. Brave lone move put the forward back onto his career path with England. Obviously his future is still up in the air club wise, but it's good to see Rashford back in obviously in the national setup. And there's another story in the Sun as well that refers to Jude Bellingham, and the narrative is kind of switched a little bit in regards to, instead of him being, the famous Thomas Tuchel word was repulsive that he used obviously a long time ago with talkSPORT, but now he's being seen more as a patriot and somebody that needs to be celebrated. And it's kind of, in a way, it's good to see people, bigged up and their mentality kind of put on show in regards to this is the World Cup, this is the best time to support our national team. And stories like this with Rashford and with Bellingham, it's good to see that people are, getting behind the team and not putting them down when...
Yeah, I mean, look, just on the Thomas Tuchel thing, on what his mother apparently said, is that, repulsive is a word, I'm sure, once he knows how deep it's that's a hurtful one, isn't it?
Do you reckon that was lost in translation?
Yeah, exactly. You're foreign. You could go abroad and you learn a language or you learn part, and being absolutely fluent on every word is really rare. There's some words that have a different type of meaning in different languages, as not as strong or sometimes a little bit softer. That repulsive was just a really bad word. Yeah, too strong. But I don't ever believe that he meant it in that fashion, or his mum what said to him. I just think that got a little bit lost. But look, the biggest thing is if you get Bellingham and you get behind these sort of players during a World Cup, we should all be making assessments really. And I'm guilty of it because I've just talked about Ronaldo. But generally, over the course of the tournament, what he will do, and I think he'll do a lot for England, Bellingham.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think you see in Thomas Tuchel as well, maybe he's done that sort of hard man approach where he's been quite harsh to a player because maybe he's had questions about his attitude, but then he brought him under his wing. Now you see him as captain when Harry Kane's not been on the pitch in those warm-up games, and I think you're seeing a stronger relationship with Bellingham. And the fact that Jude's getting out and speaking to the media, which I know was a source of frustration for some journalists and the public, that in the previous major tournament Jude wasn't out speaking, and we want to hear from him because he's a golden boy. So I think you're seeing an improved relationship.
There's a big line there now, Max, and I said to you this before, that I think it's more of a one of going, I'm going to push you because I know there's more in there.
Yeah.
I think he's done that with Jude.
Without a doubt.
And that, to me, is the standout where he's gone, I need to get more out of Jude Bellingham. If we're going to win this thing, I know how good he can be and what he can deliver. So, and if I need to push him, I'm going to.
Yeah.
And then there'll be others as well. It's not just Jude. It'll be others that he'll think he needs to, it's not a kick out the back. Jude doesn't need that. You need to get Jude to be his very best, because when he is, he's a game changer.
Yeah, and we're seeing that particularly with that second half performance, grabbing the game by the horns, getting that goal, seeing England to a massive win against Croatia. We're talking England from 9 p.m. in particular. Got a great guest coming up for you. But also, if you want the chance to win £26,000 tax-free cash to celebrate the 2026 FIFA World Cup, we're giving away the big bucks. Fund your summer and enter right now. Head to talksportwin.com to enter and for T's and C's. This is the Weekend World Cup Breakfast live on talkSPORT. Up next, we're going to continue looking back at more World Cup action.
We were just chatting off air about Terry Venables and Euro 96. You're getting Euro 96 vibes already.
Well, I'm getting England-Holland Euro 96 vibes, 100%, because, I was very fortunate enough to know Terry, as I'm sure you two did. And, I asked him about that game. We used to do a show together on Saturdays on the radio about football. And, he said, I just threw 7 forwards on. Everybody could play in attack. Even the sort of back four, we were very sort of front-footed thinking. And he said, don't worry about how many goals they're going to score. Just score more goals than them. And then you have them on the back foot and they can't get out of their own half anyway. Yeah. And you were there for England-Holland at Wembley Stadium. I was there when the scoreboard said England 4, Holland 0. I mean, they did score a goal, but we did see 4-0 for a while. And last night was very, very reminiscent of that, and they talk about total football. That was as close as we got. And, I'm fascinated by managers and what they say and what makes the difference between Alex Ferguson and an Arsene Wenger and a Thomas Tuchel compared to the others. Ancelotti, I know you're a big fan of, and he's been on the show.
Yeah.
And it's great, isn't it, because Harry, the thing about Tuchel is he's just saying what he thinks, even right before the game. He's saying, well, we're going to do this because they're going to do that. And if they're watching, they know what he's going to do. But he's so organised in a way that's sort of, quite off-putting for the opposition, I would imagine. And then Harry Kane does a Thomas Tuchel after the match because he tells you exactly what Tuchel told them at half time, which was basically, lads, I thought we had a deal here. You're gonna play like you don't care, like you're back in the playground, and in the first half you didn't do that, boys. We had an agreement. Can we just go out and do that? And they all went, oh yeah, we remember. And they just went out, and it was just a different game. And I was, as you can hear, I was very excited about it. We all were very excited about it. And this morning, there's this whole sense of relief and release, and now we're looking forward to next week and Tuesday, and it's like, it might be coming home.
Thomas Tuchel's busy trying to bring glory back to England for the first time since '66. But how did he get here? Well, from the sleepy town of Krumbach via some giants of European football, here's his journey to Wembley. Sitting around 60 miles west of Munich, Krumbach's population is less than 14,000 people. But Tuchel's friends there remember a boy whose ambitions lay far beyond the Bavarian community. His will to win was evident early. Tuchel often captained his youth football teams, and his school side lifted the national German football trophy in 1987. The sport took the young defender on a whistle-stop tour of South Germany, from Augsburg to Stuttgart and then Ulm. A knee injury ended his playing career at the age of 25, though. Tuchel accepted his first coaching role in the Stuttgart youth setup in 2000, hired by none other than Ralf Rangnick. Under Tuchel's stewardship, the club's under-19s won their league title in 2005. But Stuttgart chose not to renew his contract, feeling Tuchel had an abrasive personality. He went on to manage Augsburg's second team before spending 5 years at the helm at Mainz. He then followed in Jurgen Klopp's footsteps and moved from Mainz to Dortmund. Here, Tuchel secured his first major silverware, the German Cup, in 2017. 8 more major trophies came next for Tuchel in just 5 glorious seasons. He won 2 Ligue 1 titles and a pair of domestic cups as PSG boss. At Chelsea, he famously lifted the Champions League as well as a Super Cup and a Club World Cup, and he also bagged a Bundesliga at Bayern Munich. And then, 4 months after leaving Bayern, Tuchel was unveiled as England's new manager.
I always wanted to come back to England. That was my big goal. I have the best memories of the country, of the league and of the players, the attitude towards the game, the attitude from the supporters.
Well, here's hoping Tuchel can finally drag England over the line at a major tournament.
Good morning, how are we? This is a weekend World Cup breakfast. I'm your host, Max Scott, and with me is former Chelsea and Marseille striker Tony Cascarino. And we're reacting to a brilliant evening, brilliant early morning of World Cup action where Japan recorded their biggest World Cup win with a classy performance, beating Tunisia, thrashing Tunisia 4-0. Here's how that fourth and final goal sounded live on talkSPORT.
Chance for a header and in! It's a brilliant header as well from Maeda. He's got his second of the game. Japan have their fourth.
We'll be looking back at that game as well. There was late drama for Germany as they beat Ivory Coast 2-1 thanks to a stoppage time winner from Dennis Undav.
Now Mecha guns it into the area and Dennis Undav may well have won it.
We'll see if he's going to become their unsung hero, main character this tournament. And as well, Reece James sat down with talkSPORT's Faker others and talked about how important Tuchel is in setting the tone for this tournament.
You know, we all want the same thing. You know, we're all fighting for, you know, the same goal. And, yeah, it comes from, you know, his passion and, you know, willingness to want to win.
We'll be chatting all things England later. Huge game against Ghana live on talkSPORT Tuesday night. Give us a call, drop us a text message, text us on 81089 or give us a call 03717 223344. This is the Weekend World Cup Breakfast live on talkSPORT. Yeah, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Our text topic this morning is, what have you got better at with age? Dennis Undav, 29 years old, coming to the fore with 2 big goals in Germany's comeback win. Elroy Room, the Curaçao goalkeeper, 15 saves, second most in a World Cup game, aged 37. We're getting lots of texts, Cass. This is from Grizzly, but we've got a few saying they get better. I'm getting better at sleeping as I get older. But this is an absolute top one. Nick Andrews from Peterborough. I was a reasonable club cricketer in my 20s and 30s. I'm now 74, still representing England over 70s. And in doing so, I'm a double World Cup winner. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, great stuff.
And then Sanjay from Durham. On Father's Day, I'm a better dad than I ever was. I'm better at embarrassing my kids, picking them up when they're down, and I'm better at laughing with them. Give a shout out to my dad too. Happy Father's Day to everyone listening. Brilliant stuff, Cass. Right, we're going to look back on Germany. Some action from last night, because as we've said, it was Dennis Undav who emerged as Germany's hero with a 94th minute winner that completed his country's 2-1 comeback win, booking their place in the World Cup knockout stages. Undav came off the bench to score a brace in the second half. And joining us for more on this is the man who, as you've heard in the packages, was on commentary duty for talkSPORT. It's our European football expert, all-round football expert, Kevin Hatchard. Good morning, Kev.
Hi, Kevin.
Morning, guys. How are we?
Yeah, we're good.
Really good, thanks. Now, Kev, look, we've been hearing from, lots of people who know a lot about German football that they're not particularly confident that they're going to go deep into this tournament. But equally, they've overcome a really tough Ivory Coast side, coming from behind, showing some resilience. What did you make of the performance?
Yeah, I thought it was a poor performance first half. It took them a long time to get going. It took them a long time to realise where the spaces were. And Darren Bent on commentary made this point on a number of occasions that the space was out wide, and yet they kept on trying to push through the middle. And it was, frustrating from anybody who wants Germany to do well, because it was just the same thing over and over again. What he did cleverly, I think, Nagelsmann, was he brought on players that naturally will look for those spaces. And you've got Jamie Leveling, who's had a really good season for Stuttgart. Nadim Amiri, who's a really clever footballer, was at Bayer Leverkusen, has done an incredible job for Mainz in the last couple of seasons. And Dennis Undav, who is goal poacher extraordinaire. The fox in the box. He's the guy that sniffs out the chances. He's the guy that knows where to be. And the 2 goals, great example of that. Amiri's cross from the right is perfect. Undav makes a brilliantly timed run, isn't tracked, and put the chance away. And then right at the end, he's in the box, in that pocket of space. The ball's punched into him by Mecha, and the turn and finish is classic Undav. So Nagelsmann deserves credit for the changes. Were Germany perfect? Absolutely not. But I think it will give them real belief going forward.
Kevin, on that, I was saying earlier to Max that I remember going back to Scolacci 1990, who was a very type, that smallish centre forward that had quick feet. And I remember Andy Cole, one of his best strengths was having incredibly quick feet that could get it out of one foot onto another very, very fast. And Undav, as you said, for that second goal, literally right foot, left foot, and it's gone past the keeper before he knows it.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody hasn't seen it and wants to see a brilliant hat-trick, just watch Undav's hat-trick against Borussia Dortmund this season. It's one of the best displays of the striker's art I've ever seen. Just he can come up with all kinds of finishes. Back to goal even when he's not looking at the net. He can flick the ball in. He can fire in from the edge of the area. He can come up with those tap-ins from rebounds. He's just a really smart footballer and an incredible story, really. When he was younger, he wanted to play for his beloved Werder Bremen, and they released him because, in Undav's words, not mine, he was too short and too fat. Not because he wasn't a good player, but because he just didn't fit that physical profile they felt they needed. He thought about quitting the sport, and he decided, no, I'm gonna find a way. And he played for lower league teams like Havelse and Meppen, and worked his way up the ranks. Played for Brighton in England, played for Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium. And it was the move to Stuttgart that really took him over the top and really saw him develop into the Undav we know now. He wasn't certain to make that Germany squad. He's had to convince Julian Nagelsmann. I think it's fair to say Nagelsmann's convinced now.
He's 29 also, so he's been around for a while, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is a guy that, as I say, has had so many different experiences, has really had to fight. It comes a point where, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to keep banging your head against a wall? Do you really want to keep pushing to try and make it as a top footballer? And he's done that. And he's been a part of a Stuttgart team that has won the German Cup. Not this season just gone, but the season before. They reached the final this season. They've qualified for the Champions League twice. And you look at some of those guys like him, like Amiri, like Leveling, guys that aren't necessarily heralded names, but guys that Nagelsmann knew could do an effective job because they've done it in club football time and time again. And bringing guys like that on really saved the game for Germany in the end.
Kev, one of the conversations that's been sort of brewing over the last couple of seasons, and we've been getting texts about it in regards to the World Cup, is about the style of football changing from, just returning to a more direct style of football. And I think with Undav's sort of cameo super sub performance, he's maybe typified that. You're across the World Cup. Do you think that this is a World Cup where we're seeing less obsession with passing it across the back and just being more direct? Are we seeing that in this World Cup?
I think with some teams, and I think what we're seeing as well is that, if you have to launch the ball into the box, then you will. I still think keeping the ball's very important, especially in the hot conditions. I thought what was interesting was that you're seeing teams with different styles, and you're seeing some teams that are ruthless and some teams that are not. Ivory Coast will come away from that game thinking, do you know what? We could have won that. I mean, Adingra has a massive chance, and then only he knows why he doesn't take it first time. Because, we said in commentary, you can either, if you take a touch, it's going to go wrong either way, because you either bring yourself wider on your left foot or you take yourself into trouble back on your right. But if you hit it first time, you've got a chance. So I think that's really stood out to me. Yes, you're right. There's more direct play. But I think as well, that difference between the really ruthless teams, and Germany showed they can be ruthless at the end of the game, and the ones that aren't quite so ruthless, like Ecuador against Curaçao, that's really showing itself at the moment.
Kev, there's been a lot of talk this summer in terms of transfers around Jan Diamande from Leipzig. He was in action for Ivory Coast. Reportedly, Leipzig wanted 100 million quid. Obviously, no one's worth that amount of money, but in the context of the transfer market in this day and age, is he worth that?
Yeah, you're buying potential, and you're buying a guy that can already deliver. Like, I actually thought that was a 5 out of 10 performance from him against Germany, and yet he makes the goal.
Yeah.
So even when he's nowhere near his best, and he wasn't, he looked tired to me, especially second half. I've seen him play way better than that, and he still came up with the assist. So, and he tortured Kimmich at times. I think Kimmich was quite happy to see him disappear. and look at the chasing he gave Nkapie against Ecuador. This is a kid who has skill, has pace, has the right attitude, will work hard without the ball when he's got the energy. I think he ran out of gas in the game against Germany. He's got the lot. Yes, it's a risk, absolutely. But what you've got is a situation where Leipzig don't want to sell. Leipzig is saying, well, we want to keep him for another season. We're back in the Champions League. Yeah. We want him to play for us. If you want him, that's fine. But this is the number you have to get to.
Yeah. Kev, thanks so much for your time, mate.
Cheers,
really
Kev.
appreciate it.
Cheers, guys.
That is talkSPORT's brilliant European football expert, Kev Hatchard, who's across all of the action in this World Cup, giving us an insight into Jan Diamande. Liverpool reportedly interested in him. If you want all the latest transfer news, head to our live blog on the website at talksport.com. You're listening to the Weekend World Cup Breakfast live on talkSPORT. Coming up next, we're going to get all the latest odds with Coral.
We're talking about that in great detail yet on yesterday's show about whether or not he should start, how much game time he should have. Because it's Cristiano Ronaldo, I think there's so much pressure on the manager, Roberto Martinez, to pick him, to start him, etc. What's your view on a situation like that? What do you do, Rio?
Well, Roberto Martinez is paid the money to make this decision, and I think it's the way that he handles that it will be key. I think if he was going to attempt to kind of take Cristiano Ronaldo out of the team, I think it's all about the narrative. I think it's all about approaching him and going, listen, if he thinks this is how I'll do it. We've got a better chance of winning it for you coming on with 30 minutes to go when the opposition are tired when their limbs are all weary, lactic acid is building up in all these players' legs, and they see Cristiano Ronaldo warming up on the side, and you come on and terrorise them and capitalise on that in the latter stages of the games. Do you think anyone's going to be bothered when you lift that trophy as our captain? No. So here we go. You're going to start some games, but then some you're not going to start, but that's part of the plan. And at 41 years old, I'm sure that Cristiano would understand that because, listen, we all know, Benny, you're the same. When we were getting older, things weren't working as quickly, as smoothly as they once were. But there's no denying the guy's potent. When the ball drops in the box, if you had three players to the top 3 players in the world for the ball to drop to, he'd be one of the guys you wanted to drop to even still now because he's that potent. He's got almost 1,000 goals. But listen, if it was down to me, I think I would take that same approach I just mentioned there. I'd pull him in and out of games depending on the opponents. And I just have to make sure that I talk to him and make sure he understands that. But one thing I would say when I watched him, I think a lot of blame and a lot of people are pointing the finger at Cristiano. I don't think the actual service into him was great either, by the way, or an opportunity to put his way often. I saw quite a few options to play the ball forward, didn't take them options up. And I think if you're going to have him in your team, you've got to find him as often as you can. And they've got great players who can do that.
I told the witch doctor I was in love with you. I told the witch doctor I was in love with you.
Yeah, this is World Cup Weekend Breakfast. Me, Max Scott, alongside Millwall Hall of Famer Tony Cascarino. We're playing Witch Doctor by the Cartoons cast because Ghana's most famous witch doctor says he's going to curse Harry Kane to boost his own country's chances during their clash on Tuesday live, by the way, on talkSPORT. The same Ghanaian doctor said he previously helped Ghana during international competitions as he boasts that he caused Ronaldo's struggles in the 2014 World Cup. Tell you what, Cass, you're going to need supernatural help because Harry Kane looks like he's in the best form of his life.
Yeah, I've never heard that song, Witch Doctor.
You've never heard this?
Never heard it.
Ting Tang Tang Walla Bing Bang?
No, never heard it.
Rugrats movie. Maybe it's a 90s kids thing.
Yeah, never heard it. But anyway, you'll need more than a witch doctor, I think.
Do you believe in the supernatural, Cass?
No, not really. I always think there's things out there, but I just don't know what, because no one's ever proved anything.
Do you believe in UFOs? Do you think there's other life forms?
I think it was very unlikely there is. To me, I'll rephrase that. It's more likely there is other life forms.
Yeah.
Because of the many trillions of planets, or all the other systems, there must be something elsewhere. But I just don't know. No one knows what. It's not just me. No one knows anything.
Yeah, no.
You can't prove it.
On Ghana, though, do you think they're going to need the supernatural assistance in order to beat England?
I don't know how good they are. I haven't really seen them. I haven't seen them play this in this tournament yet. I mean, Semenya's Ghanaian, isn't he?
Yeah.
So that there's one hell of a player. But generally, I haven't really took much interest because I've not really worked on them yet. But I will catch them certainly when they play England.
Yeah, they got a late winner against against Panama in extra time.
Yeah,
and I think, you mentioned Semenyo there. He's the man. And throughout the game, he was sort of dropping into pockets. England's got to watch out for that because in that first half against Croatia, I don't think the defence were getting as much support.
Well, they've had some great teams over the years. They really have. And look, the top three of what we said before is Ivory Coast, Morocco. Certainly they're the top two. And probably the third one. Who would be the third one? Morocco, Ivory Coast, Senegal.
Yeah.
And Senegal are a really good side.
Well, Ghana didn't even qualify for this year's AFCON anyway.
No.
So they've been in a state of flux. They've had loads of different managers. But talking about, the witch doctor trying to curse Harry Kane, maybe hope he gets an injury. One injury concern for England, Cass, of course, is Bukayo Saka. He's following his own training schedule. He is playing with the football, so he's not just doing running. Do you think that might be a common theme throughout the tournament, that Saka, who's been plagued with injuries towards the back end of Arsenal's title winning season?
Hope not, Max, for him, because it's nothing worse than going to and just on witch doctors. When I went to America, I pulled my calf in the week before the season tournament started, and it was 3 weeks injury, and I saw a faith healer when I was out there, and I trained the next day after about 10 days of really struggling. I had a faith healer come to my hotel. Kevin Moran organised it because he had a similar thing. He had a problem with his hamstring, and he trained quite quickly afterwards. He said, "See the same hay feeler."
Hay feeler.
I was going to say, obviously the faith healer, and I did.
What did they do? Like, what was the ceremony like?
There was one was a massage, and then it was feeling all around the area, and then a bit of a conversation, and then suddenly out of nowhere said, "You'll train in the next few days with what I did on the massage." It was quite a firm massage.
So where was the faith in it? Because at the minute it just sounds like you've had a sports massage.
No, it was.
Was there any chanting, any bells, any whistles?
No.
Incense?
It was nothing. It was nothing weird. But I did train the next day, and that was a bit strange because afterwards you think, wow,
miracles.
I
do
didn't
happen.
think I could, and I did.
Well, let's hope this witch doctor doesn't have his say on Harry Kane.
Faith healer.
Absolutely not. Right, let's check in on the odds right now with Coral.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here to reward the fans this summer. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Good morning to John Hill from our friends at Coral. Good morning.
Hi, John.
Good morning, Max. Good morning, Cass. Hope you're off well.
Yeah, we're doing well, thank you, mate. Now, look, we're well into the World Cup now.
Yeah.
We've had some upsets. We've had some great performances. We've seen it all so far. So what, first of all, are the outrights telling us for the outright winner of this World Cup at a minute?
Yeah, we've seen everybody in action, haven't we? So we know who are the teams that are going to be pushing for this trophy. And as we speak, it is France at the top of the betting match. They're 7-2 favourites, Le Bleu, to go all the way for their third World Cup. And then it's England and Spain, joint second favourites. The money just continues to come for England. They started this tournament 13-2, 6.5 to 1. They're now 5 to 1. So the nation very much excited by that first performance. And what a performance it was, wasn't it, against Croatia? 4-star performance, 4 goals from Tuchel's men. 7 to 1 Argentina, Portugal 8 to 1, 10 to 1 Brazil. So the betting, as I say, very much suggests England right in there. And do you agree with that assignment, boys?
Yeah, I think they deserve I think they've been the second best team I've seen so far. Yeah, I mean, Morocco have been really good. I've really enjoyed them. France are worthy favourites. I mean, I'm not sure about Spain after their first performance, but look, they've got Nico Williams and they've got Lamine Yamal playing today, and that's a game we can talk about as well, Saudi Arabia. But them two are very vital for me for Spain to go really deep.
Yeah, and you must remember as well, Cass, you think 4 years ago, Argentina, they were beaten first game by Saudi Arabia, weren't they? And obviously went on to win the tournament. So there's a lot of football still to go. Just mentioning two of the teams from yesterday, Max. Germany obviously left it late against Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast played really well, actually, just didn't take their chances. Germany are 12 to 1 in the outright betting. And Netherlands, they were very, very good against Sweden, especially in front of goal. They're 16 to 1. I think Netherlands could be dark horses, actually, of those teams we just mentioned.
Yeah, I've seen there was a mathematician that had previously predicted all of the previous 3 World Cup winners, and he reckons Netherlands are going to win this one. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, yesterday, clinical in front of goal. But talk to us about the fixtures that have got coming up. Spain, Saudi Arabia, Belgium, Iran, Cape Verde, who of course got an unbelievable point against Spain, against Uruguay, and then Chris Wood's New Zealand against Egypt. Action-packed.
Yes. It is that action part, bumper days here, and it all gets underway at 5 o'clock, so we don't have to wait until late in the evening for the first game. So Spain versus Saudi Arabia. Spain 1 to 10 to bounce back from that disappointing draw for the European champions. Saudi Arabia 20-1 to pull off an upset today. The draw in this one is 10-1. And then at 8 o'clock, Belgium worked quite great in their first game. They'll need to improve today. They're 4-9 against Iran. Iran 6-1 for the upset. The draw in this one is 19-5. And then at 11 o'clock, Uruguay versus Cape Verde. That Cape Verde goalkeeper, what a performance he had in the opening game. And what has he got now? 15 million Instagram followers or something.
Incredible.
It's counting. It's growing. I think it's about one more than you, Max, isn't it, at the moment? That goalkeeper. Uruguay 1-2 favourites. Cape Verde 13-2 for another big result. The draw 16-5. And then you mentioned the game at 2 o'clock there. Chris Wood leading New Zealand's charge. Egypt's here 8-13. New Zealand available at 4-1. The draw 5-2. So I'm guessing the popular accumulator today is going to be Egypt, Uruguay, Belgium, and Spain. Who of those 4 teams do you think is the most vulnerable in that ACCA, boys?
Ooh. Egypt. New Zealand looked great. Iran came back twice against New Zealand. I think, Chris Wood's in the form of his life. I think that'll be a tough game for Egypt, even though they've got Mo Salah and even though they're one of the best.
Yeah, I think it's definitely 3 out of the 4. Which one goes wrong? Probably with Max, probably New Zealand against Egypt, but I'm still not convinced. Maybe all 4 favourites win.
Yeah, it could be one of those days. And so just to finish on the goal for the cricket before we leave, Wyndham Clark is 1-3 to win the US Open. He's got a big lead going into that final round this evening. And England have got it all to do. I'm heading to the Oval later this morning. 1-33 New Zealand. England 16-1. We've batted poorly. We've missed Ben Stokes, our captain. Will he return for the 3rd test? Will we get him back in the fold? That's the big question for the ECB. But it looks like the Kiwis are going to level the series at the Oval.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks, John. That was a look at the latest odds with Coral. 18+, begambleaware.org. Please gamble responsibly.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here to reward the fans this summer. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Well, we're talking about Arsenal because the press are talking about Arsenal.
Squeezed Arsenal into a World Cup show.
You're about to hear. Are you Arsenal in disguise? In the Daily Mail. Yeah, we're going there. We're going there.
Who's written that? Is that you? Is that by Laura Coke Francis?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's my first line in the Daily
well
Mail.
Done. Congratulations.
The Nation joins Gunners fans in praise of Rice's corners.
Oh, come on. This is... Benty and I were out hobnobbing with the Rich and Famous last night, or maybe Rich and Shameless, and we were talking to Piers Morgan.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And he asked the same question about Declan Rice's corners, and I'm like, he's just taking the corner, the fella.
Mate, no.
I love Declan. You know that.
Hey,
but unless you've got Harry Kane running onto it, a corner's only as good as the finish.
No, look at Arsenal been doing all season, and people have criticised us for that.
You just bullied goalkeepers, you smashed goalkeepers out of the way.
That's so right. So the hypocrisy here is loud and clear. In the Daily Mail, which I've just messed up there, they're calling it dark arts in praise of the dark arts that England have employed at corners, which we've been very vocal about.
We're not doing those corners at the World Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Declan's doing outswingers.
Did you see the amount of... So do Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm saying, but when it's an in-swing, everyone's smashing into the keeper. These are outswings. Harry Kane's running onto them.
Now, all the blocks, I saw the blocks the other night, England.
Yeah, so just to be clear, corner's good, but corner's not good when Arsenal do it. In-swing are good, outswing are bad.
Unless Harry Kane's on the end of him,
So, safe to say, according to you, and I think I speak on behalf of Arsenal Nation here, I'm not allowing you to enjoy us having corners, if that's all right. So as far as you're concerned, it was 3-2.
I'll speak on the rest of the nation,
Please
right? And I don't like your attitude.
I love it.
Yeah, I the hypocrisy.
No, here's what's going to happen.
Yep.
So you, of course, won't remember, and neither will I, but in 1966, when England won the World Cup, right? Jeff Hurst scored 3 and Martin Peters scored the other one, and Bobby Moore lifted it. And West Ham, for years, were like, West Ham won the World Cup. And this is exactly what you're doing now with Arsenal.
It is exactly what we're doing.
Right.
But
Declan
it can't
Rice
be
took a
denied.
corner. Now, I love Declan, so I don't want to say this, but out of everyone that played, who got the lowest marks?
You don't believe that?
I don't believe that.
Good morning, how are you? Listen to the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show on talkSPORT. I'm Max Scott alongside former Aston Villa and Celtic striker Tony Cascarino. It's been a great action-packed evening of football. Cass and I blown away by Japan. You do not want to play them in the knockout rounds. Give me Brazil over Japan every day of the week. Wow. Incredible 4-0 win over Tunisia. They're out, I think. And time now, though, to round up all the latest tournament action with Burger King.
The Breakfast Briefing on talkSPORT with Burger King Burger Buddies. Total tournament satisfaction delivered by the experts. Order now on the BK app.
Yes, Curaçao, one of the stories of the tournament, the smallest country in this World Cup, and their first ever point in the World Cup. They drew 0-0 with an Ecuador side which had 26 shots on goal. Flo Pollock was watching this one for talkSPORT. She was watching, but we haven't got it just yet. Unbelievable goalkeeping performance, by the way. Cass, Curaçao's keeper, Eloy Room, 15 saves.
Yeah.
The most saves actually in a 90-minute game in World Cup history. Tim Howard got 16 saves in a US game that went to extra time, so he's making history. Look, people complain about having so many teams in this World Cup, but when you get stories like this, it kind of makes it worth it.
Well, that's the whole point. I've tried to defend the expansion of the international teams that are playing in the World Cup, because you have to give the chance to nations for the infrastructure of their sport, football, which is the global game, to have an opportunity to play World Cups. Otherwise, it will always be, there'll always be the big nations anyway. But to give the opportunity for smaller nations to have a chance to progress in their, football in their country.
Yeah, incredible.
And that's what I like about it.
As I mentioned before, Flo Pollock was watching for talkSPORT. Here's how it sounded.
And the referee does blow for full time then. Curaçao hold on to get their first ever point at a World Cup. The blue-shirted fans in the stands here go wild. Room, the goalkeeper of Curaçao, on his knees, praying.
And the final score.
What a performance from him. The Curaçao players celebrating that 0-0.
Yeah, Eloy Room, 15 saves, making history. Another, he's 37 years old. We've seen Cape Verde's 40-year-old goalkeeper, Vizinha, doing well. Yeah. I asked you earlier what it was about being a striker that you get better with age. Why do you think it's these older goalkeepers that are getting better or showing up on the big stage?
Well, goalkeepers generally go on longer anyway, Max, you know. I mean, I remember Dave Besson, who I played with at Chelsea, and I think Bez played to was about 45, 46, maybe even 47, Bez, as a goalkeeper. He was at your club, Nottingham Forest, for a while. Yeah. I just think that, look, you don't have to run on the pitch and you don't have to be as quick. As long as you've still got your agility as a goalkeeper and your foot movement, you can still be in between the sticks.
Yeah.
You can. Many goalkeepers keep going on to a ripe old age of late 30s and into the early 40s. It's very common for a keeper to do that.
We've seen already that Eloy Room's almost at 1 million Instagram followers. This has been the World Cup where players that nobody knows of play well, get unbelievable social media followings. Likely going to change their careers in so many ways with the revenue that social media produces these days. Another great story from one of the smaller teams in the World Cup. That was a roundup of all the latest action thanks to Burger King.
The Breakfast Briefing on talkSPORT with Burger King Burger Buddies. Iconic winners delivered in the box every time. Order now on the BK app.
Away from the World Cup, though, Wyndham Clark has taken a commanding 6-shot lead into the final round of the US Open, while Scotty Scheffler boosted his career Grand Slam hopes with an impressive fight back at Shinnecock Hills. Halfway leader Clark has moved a huge step closer to a second US Open title in 4 years after another impressive display. By the way, Cass, you know we haven't wished happy birthday to this morning? Scotty Scheffler turns 30
Oh,
today.
is he?
Yeah, one of the greatest to do it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Delighted to say joining us is talkSPORT's golf correspondent, Rupert Bell. How are you, Rupert?
Hi, Rupert.
Very good. Very good, Matt. Yeah, Scotty Scheffler trying to close in on a career Grand Slam. And, well, I think odds are stacked against him because watching Wyndham Clark last night, he was magnificent. The killer blow that may just have given him a bit of daylight between the rest of the field was his sensational eagle at the 609-yard 16th, getting an eagle. Given the fact that only 2 players managed to go under par yesterday, the fact he hit this shot 275 yards to 4 feet, but I think that's the first ever eagle in the history of the Shinnecock Hills sort of hosting the US Open. And so that almost felt like a decisive moment because it does give him quite a cushion. He's won it before. Or it's not as if he's suddenly dealing with trying to close out his first major, because that brings huge pressures and 6 shots leads have disappeared in a blink of an eye. But getting birdies is so hard. So what they'll all be hoping is that he has a bad day at the office, but he's shown no indication that is going to happen.
Now, and Rupert, he's a guy that's had troubles away from the golf course and personal issues. Watching him yesterday, I watched like you, and I was amazed at his consistency, and he's been playing in recent months really, really well.
Yeah, and when he won the US Open a couple of years back, he sort of got quite cocky and sort of said, I'm going to become practically one, bring on McIlroy in the Ryder Cup and I'll beat him, hand over, just take the world by storm. Well, last year, he created a storm in the Oakmont locker room by smashing it up and incurring the wrath of not only the Oakmont members, but the sort of golfing world for his antics, which he's been on a sort of PR retribution mission this week to say, look, I've learnt by it and I won't do the same sort of thing again. There was a brief moment yesterday where he did get a little bit hot under the collar, describing a shot as the worst he's hit in his life. Well, if it was the worst shot he's hit in his life, goodness knows, in my eyes, it was the best shot I would have ever hit in my life. It ended up in the bunker. But anyway, the point is he hasn't always endeared himself to the sort of sporting public. But you have to admire, given how hard this course has been, I think there are only 9 players level par or better, I think, and only 2 players under par yesterday, of which one of them was Scotty Scheffler. As you say, 30 today. But he will be playing alongside Wyndham Clark, which just might give Wyndham Clark he'll know what his most, the closest challenger is doing. And if he has bogeys while Scotty just starts doing a sort of par after par and grinding out good holes, the pressure will get to Wyndham Clark on the back 9. From a sporting point of view, perhaps that's what we want. We don't want to see a procession with him winning it, because where's the drama? But Tommy Fleetwood, 63 at the last Shinnecock Hills. Well, he played all right yesterday, but you just feel being 9 shots back, that's not going to happen for him. But all the same, Wyndham Clark, you have to admire what he's done.
And Rory on the back 9, he found it really tough, didn't he, all week?
Yeah, and he was going along nicely. He had a run of 3 birdies, and then suddenly it just, the back 9 is the hardest part of the course, and it just found him out. Matt Fitzpatrick got off to a really bad start, surprisingly. I think he 3 bogeys in a row, and then he was always on a retrieving mission. So from a European and British perspective, I don't think we're going to keep the run of British winners going at majors this year. But for Aaron Rai, not bad effort this week, given all the expectation on his shoulders. He's up there near the top part of the leaderboard. But it's also great to see Alex Fitzpatrick. Again, Matt's younger brother. He's increasingly beginning to get comfortable on the big stage. So Wyndham Clark, I expect to win, but you just never know in this game of golf. It does things to your head.
Rupert, and just finally, you of course were asked for talkSPORT this week. Great story as well, which saw Almerac, winner of the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes, come back from a leg fracture. You don't hear that very often. Great work from everyone all around there.
Yeah, that is a rarity. Winning yesterday's big sprint race, terrific training performance, because just like any sports person or horse or anyone, you have a leg break, you never quite know whether you're going to be the same. And Almerac beating a very strong international field was a great story. In fact, Ascot had amazing stories. That Gold Cup will go down as one of the races of the age of Scandinavia. 100 wins for Aidan O'Brien at Royal Ascot. Ryan Moore is now left on 99 winners at Royal Ascot as a jockey. Once again, he was top jockey, so he'll bring up his century next year, and it puts into context just how dominant both Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien are, but also the emergence of a couple of young trainers. One called Joseph O'Brien, well, most people know about him, but George Bowie is now a trainer that is going to be, I'm sure, having plenty of big race winners. He's in his 30s, but he's definitely, his star is in the ascendancy, particularly as he trains Bo Echo at the moment.
Rupert Bell, thank you so much, mate. Speak to you very soon.
Cheers, Rupert.
Thank you.
That is talkSPORT's golf correspondent, all-round posh sports correspondent, giving us all the latest on the US Open. Wyndham Clark going really well, and then a huge week at Ascot. Some great stories coming out there. But as well, if you want the chance to win £26,000 tax-free, to celebrate the 2026 FIFA World Cup, we're giving away the big bucks. You can fund your summer and enter right now. Head to talksportwin.com to enter and get all your T's and C's. You're listening to the Weekend World Cup Breakfast on talkSPORT. We're going to delve into a great story involving another goalkeeper next.
Talking about Jude Bellingham, because of his talent, because of his ability, Kyle, he's often the focus of attention, isn't he? I mean, tell us, you've been in the same dressing room as him. What's he like as a person?
No, he's good, and I think he carries a lot of weight on his shoulders for such a young boy. I think people probably forget how young he is. Obviously, he's gone on from leaps and bounds from Birmingham City to Dortmund to now playing for, one of, if not the biggest clubs in the world. But I was saying it before, I think Morgan Rogers is a great player. I played with him at City. He's done unbelievable for Villa. But I just think in them moments, Jude Bellingham probably pips him just because of the big game moments, and last night proved that.
Yeah.
How good is he? Because you've been in training with him, you played with him. Because when we watch him, I just see someone who can score left foot, right foot. I see someone who can get box to box, good in the air. Looks like the complete player.
Yeah, I think, he's an all-rounder. He can tackle, he can defend, he can attack, he scores goals. as you just said, left, right foot. He's got an engine on him. Is he a silky number 10 that we're probably used to seeing in the Premier League? Probably not. He's more of a powerhouse. But, you know, in these conditions that they're playing the World Cup in like this, it could work to our advantage with having him, Declan and, you know, Anderson that all have good engines on them and then can get up and down the pitch.
Does it ever get to him, the sort of criticism that he gets, the media attention that he gets?
I think probably it does. I think probably it does some way, but I don't think you can let it get to you. I think when you're a big football player like that with a name that you've got, obviously you're going to hear and you're going to see. People are going to tell you what people are saying, but you know, you have to take that pressure. You're Jude Bellingham. You're Jude Bellingham and you've got that pressure on your shoulder. You're playing for Real Madrid and also representing England in a number 10 jersey, so you've got to deal with it.
We've seen a few months ago, there were journalists saying that he shouldn't be involved because there was reports that Jude Bellingham makes the older players, they're scared to play because he's so much of a character. And I was like, surely Walks, like...
Good morning, this is the World Cup Weekend Breakfast on talkSPORT on your smart TV, on YouTube. I'm your host, Max Scott. I've got former Marseille striker Tony Cascarino alongside me. And some of the headlines you're waking up to this morning. Newcastle have rejected a bid from Tottenham Hotspur for midfielder Sandro Tonali. It's understood an offer worth about 80 million was turned down earlier this week. Newcastle want 100 million. Plus, I reckon that Elliot Anderson British record fee that we're expecting to come through is hiking up those prices for similar midfielders. And 2026 World Cup has become the fastest edition of the tournament to hit 100 goals since 1958. That 100th goal came with the Netherlands' third in a 5-1 win over Sweden last night. Swedish defender Gabriel Gudmundsson said this result was a tough one to take.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, we need to suffer today. But also to be aware of that we had 3 points after 2 games, which we should be also quite happy with. We have a final game that can decide a lot. We're still in the game, still in the tournament. Hopefully can do a good game on Thursday, I think, and then let's see.
Tough one to come back for Sweden, Cass. They obviously in a group with the Netherlands and Japan. They're third place on 3rd point. Still lots to play for in that final game. Difficult one though.
Yeah, well, if you're playing Japan, you know we're going to in for a really testing game in many different ways. They're a good side, Japan, and we came in early hours, didn't we? We watched the second half, and you sort of knew. I'm listening on the radio as I was coming in on talkSPORT, listening, and I'm like, oh, Japan are just such a dangerous side. It's refreshing, and they're representing Asia brilliantly.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, going to be a difficult one for Sweden, but you'd imagine can get something out of it still in there to get that 3rd place qualifier. Right, time now though for a bit of this.
Daunton plays it in again towards Tony Cascarino.
Good morning, Cascarino.
Tony. Oh, at the same time. Oh, lucky man. How can you spend 25 grand on a handbag? Come on. But you just said to me I didn't have to do anything. I'm scary enough as it is.
Never fear. Culture Cass is here.
Yeah, this is Culture Cass because, of course, as you know by now, Cass hasn't found his way onto social media. He's not tempted by it, but do not worry. We're going to bring all the best bits for his reaction and pleasure, get him caught up on all the things that are going viral. And this week, we're looking at that viral sensation, Cape Verde goalkeeper Vozinha, putting the performance of his lifetime in that 0-0 draw versus Spain. Started the World Cup with 50k followers. He's currently just shy of 15 million followers on social media. Right. More followers than Bruno Fernandes, Bukayo Saka, Heung-min Son. It's crazy, isn't it, Cass?
I'm not sure that will last, though, do you?
What, do you think they're all going to unfollow him?
Well, I don't think he's going to have 15 million in 2 years' time.
I reckon he will.
I mean, look,
he'll build on it.
He's done brilliant. He's done brilliant, and fair play to him.
He's going to get an agent. He's going to rinse it, right? He's going to make an absolute mint from it. He's 40 years old. He might even decide to retire.
Do we know the value of Instagram followers? Is there a number? If I said you got 200,000 Instagram followers, what's the sort of money that...
Well, I don't know that in particular, guys, but I do know that what will happen is that
that's where I get a bit confused.
Lining up to, and they'll be giving him free stuff to advertise all their bits. He'll do well from this. He can retire a happy man.
Yeah. See, I always look at it as a Okay, so if so many people follow you, how much does that relate to?
Well, all I know,
no one
he's
really
set for
knows.
life. He's set for life, guys. I don't know what the numbers will be, but I do know he's absolutely set for life. And fair play to him.
Fair play, yeah. I have no problem with that at all. It's funny. It's just how can you go from how many? 5,000, did you say?
50,000.
50,000.
15 million.
15 million, yeah, that's a bit of a rise. Well, what happens then if he concedes 6?
Well, they're still there. They're not all going to go on and unfollow him. We can track it.
I'm sure there'll be a number that drop out and say, I'm not following him anymore.
Right, let's get more on this. From former West Brom, Southampton and Cape Verde international, Pedro Pele Monteiro. Good morning, Pedro.
Pedro.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, how you
Can you
doing?
hear me well?
Yeah, we're good.
very
We're
good,
good.
thank
You answer for that for us with a goalkeeper from obviously Cape Verde. You know how brilliant he's been and how much people have fallen in love with him. Might have already loved him already.
He's a very good story, and we are all very proud of him and the country. And I hope he can continue like this.
Pele, I've noticed that obviously we've all seen that there's been lots of stories around visa issues of players, referees, families of players not being allowed into the country. But the US State Department have issued Vizinha's mother a special visa to get into the country to watch her son play against Uruguay today. He seems to have captured the imagination of everyone around the world, particularly because he's 40 years old in the twilight of his career. It's just brilliant to see.
I think it's amazing. Like it's been an amazing World Cup especially for the smaller nations, and stories like this. Like yesterday, Curacao too. They drew, and the goalkeeper had a very good game too. I think it's when you love football, there you always hope for things like this, and you be happy for anybody, no matter if he's Vizinha or any other goalkeeper to have a game like this.
It must have been amazing for you, your family, friends, anyone representing Cape Verde to take on the Spanish and get the result you did. And yes, the goalkeeper was brilliant, but all the rest of the players and everybody involved, it felt it felt a memory that will last a lifetime for you guys.
I think everybody's going to remember this game, no matter what happens now, going forward in a World Cup. Everybody's going to remember this game. So it was an amazing game for me as a coach, watching a game, and they playing as a low block. It was amazing to see them doing the low block like that. And especially not conceding a goal. Was very, very good. Very, very good.
Absolutely incredible. You've got Uruguay tonight. You would say that is a much it is an easier team to play against than Spain. What are you expecting? Are you expecting more of the same from Cape Verde? Low block, brave defending, exceptional goalkeeping, and maybe even hoping to get something on the counter-attack?
We do hope to get something in the counter-attack, yes. But yeah, of course you are expecting similar things there, because Uruguay they are a good team too, and of course they've got a threat too up front. But you always hope that you're going to get something from it. But like I said before, everybody's happy with just being there in the World Cup and after a result like the Spain.
Yeah, you could still qualify. You could beat Saudi Arabia in your last game. So there's, not just tonight, but there's another game to play that you can win.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. But we just happy with what's going on at the moment. There, we just I don't know, very, very happy to be up there. I don't know. It might just be me talking and being a bit humble about that, but. Is a fantastic story for everybody, for all the people at Cape Verde, all the people who live around the world from Cape Verde. Everybody's just proud of the team and proud of the country.
As you should be. Pele, I've seen a story in The Sun. They put out a story that you're very big on fostering children over 70, I'm told, since 2013. That's an incredible commitment.
over 90 actually.
Wow, there you go.
Yes, he's part of our family for a long time now. We've been fostering for 12 years now, or over. And I think it's just a way that our family would like to give something back to the community here. He's amazing. He's very rewarding to see the children's in a safe environment.
Yeah.
And just having the basic life skills.
Well, Pele, I think it goes without saying that you deserve the biggest Happy Father's Day of all, fostering over 90 kids. So amazing work. And thank you so much for joining us. Give us a bit of an insight into that, but also what an amazing tournament it's been so far for the Blue Sharks. Good luck against Uruguay this evening, against Saudi Arabia. Certainly hope you get through to those knockout stages.
Yeah, that would be the biggest present for you if they get that today.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolute pleasure. That is former West Brom, Southampton, Cape Verde defender Pedro Pele Monteiro, and we're talking about him fostering over 90 kids and giving amazing opportunities for children. Yeah, hopefully he's lining his pockets today. But another great cause. Just want to flag this. If you live in the Surrey area and you fancy some football today, get yourself down to Meadowbank Stadium for a charity football match in aid of the Tyler Abdul Foundation. It's an amazing opportunity to support an even better cause. Be part of a fun event at Dorking Wanderers FC. You can even bring your dad on Father's Day for half price. But coming up next, we're going to talk England, looking ahead to that game against Ghana here on the Weekend World Cup Breakfast.
I've got to speak to you about England then. Obviously, of course, the result the other day. Really good second half performance. First and foremost, what did you make of the performance? And some people are saying it's the best half of football they've seen England play in years.
Well, what I was really impressed with, there's two things. The turnaround in the second half, and you saw Harry Kane, Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham all come out speaking glowingly about the manager's team talk at half-time. So that's an absolute massive, massive, massive plus, because a manager that's very aggressive, he's punchy, and he ain't going to go out trying to stay in a game. He's going to go out trying to win a game. And if it doesn't happen, he ain't going to be for the want of trying. And the second thing is, he's aggressive substitutions and really decisive substitutions in the second half late on, where normally you see a lot of managers go, we're going to protect this lead. He's saying, no, I've got my foot on their throat and we're going to finish them off. And I love that. And if that's going to be the way we go about this tournament, we're going to have a good time.
I totally agree with you. I said that actually. Do you think that's the difference between what Southgate would have done and maybe bring on like a Calvin Phillips, a holder, to make sure we didn't lose the game?
Yeah, Southgate and a lot of other managers have done that. And I think that was probably when you're looking back now, it's a great thing having hindsight, but our Achilles heel probably, even though we've got further than any team since '66 in these last couple of tournaments, we still were playing at times, it felt, with the shackles on or the handbrake half up in the critical moments, in the biggest moments for England in these big games. And so with that comes kind of apprehension and a bit of anxiousness when you're watching those games, right? And Benty, you've been in them England squads, yeah? A lot of the guys in them teams and as a unit, as a team, as well as individuals, we were scared to lose games.
It's 2010, and the Goalkeepers Union is up in arms. Why? This thing, the Jabulani, perhaps the most famous World Cup match ball for moving, it seemed, in 3 directions at once. But that wasn't the first match ball row, not by a long shot. In 1930, the World Cup final began with a fight, not between the players, but about the ball. Argentina brought theirs, and Uruguay brought theirs. And when neither backed down, they played 45 minutes with each. Uruguay, with the T model, came out on top. This was the era when balls were heavy. They were classics, sure, but they could double in weight during a thunderstorm. Before we go on, I will tell you that the 1962 ball was called Mr. Crack. A ball that was so heavy when wet, several European teams refused to use it. Instead, the 1958 Top Star was used, most famously for the quarter-final between Czechoslovakia and Hungary. By '66, we had the Slazenger Challenge. Because people watched They Think It's All Over in black and white, we forget the ball was actually bright orange or red, whatever that colour is. But it looked like a floating smudge to people at home. The World Cup match ball needed a makeover. Enter the Telstar. 32 black and white panels. It was stylish, it was modern, and it meant goalkeepers could finally see the thing that was about to ruin their afternoon. It was also the start of an Adidas monopoly. 1986 was the dawn of a new age. The Azteca was the first fully synthetic ball, meaning it didn't soak up water. Recently, though, things have got weird. 2002 gave us the Fever Nova, basically a high-tech frisbee, and then, of course, the Jabulani. Today, the balls have internal sensors that tell the VAR room if someone breathed on it. We've come a long way. But the ball's not the main thing, is it, FIFA? It's just a ball.
Yeah, good morning. It's the Weekend World Cup breakfast on talkSPORT, on Smart TV, on YouTube. I'm Max Scott, and former Republic of Ireland striker Tony Cascarino is alongside, where Japan recorded their biggest World Cup win this morning with a classy performance, beating Tunisia 4-0. Here's how that fourth goal sounded live on talkSPORT.
Chance for a header and in! It's a brilliant header as well from Maeda. He's got his second of the game. Japan have their fourth.
Yeah, we'll be looking back at that game as well. Germany secured a huge comeback win, 2-1 against Ivory Coast, all thanks to Dennis Undav.
Now Mecha guns it into the area, and Dennis Undav may well have won it.
And Rich James has sat down with talkSPORT's Faker Others and talked about how important Thomas Tuchel's been in setting the tone at this tournament.
You know, we all want the same thing. You know, we're all fighting for, you know, the same goal. And, yeah, it comes from, you know, his passion and, you know, willingness to want to win.
Yeah, we're going to be getting into the bones of England's World Cup hopes, World Cup chances in a moment. So England fans, get in touch, 03717 22 33 44. What do you make of that performance against Croatia? How you feeling with Ghana coming up next on Tuesday? What do you make of Bukayo Saka not necessarily fully fit? Text us 81089 as well. This is the Weekend World Cup breakfast on talkSPORT. Okay, we're going to chat England now with the Three Lions coming off a huge 4-2 win over Croatia midweek. All eyes are now set on Ghana, who sits second in Group L after that dramatic late winner against Panama. talkSPORT's Faker Others spoke with England fullback Reece James. He spoke about the changing leadership for England.
Teams changed a lot. You know, in previous years there was a lot more experienced older players here, and you know now the there's a new crop, new generation that are, here, and I, try and share my experiences with, some of the younger players that, haven't experienced this before or, haven't been around them.
Reece James speaking to Faker Others there. Cass, interesting topic really in regards to the leadership of England. We've always had Harry Kane as captain, but players like Reece James, like Jude Bellingham, like Declan Rice, who have all got sort of significant roles in their club teams, also maybe coming to the fore a little bit and maybe adding something different for England in this World Cup.
Yeah, and also the players that probably won't play very much football, people like Dan Burn and Jordan Henderson, have been leaders over their time. So there's enough of them within the England squad. I think the biggest issue with England is really solving the problem of their defensive frailties, which they showed against Croatia. I think they've got to be tighter if they're going to win the tournament. So what will Thomas Tuchel do? Will he bring Mark Gay back into the team? Will he use another player, in that defensive area? I think there's things that he has to really think about. I think offensively, England look like they're going to get goals. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It's not just because they scored 4 against Croatia. I think they generally have a side that can score goals.
When you talk about the defence there, I must say in that first half, I felt like Reece James looked really sluggish. He looked off the pace. Obviously, on his day, he's a world-class operator. We saw Tuchel put him in the midfield where I thought he looked a little bit livelier. Are you concerned about the fitness of Reece James? Do you think that if England would get to the final, Reece James will be there?
Well, I think if Reece plays his best football, there's no doubt he's in England. Yeah. No doubt at all, because he is a very talented lad and he's very cool and calm. He doesn't get flustered on a football pitch. Even if he's misplaced a pass, he seems to be very level-headed. I think that the main issue is the heart of that defence, where John Stones and Konza, and especially John Stones, and I understand why John hasn't played enough football.
No.
He's been a great centre-half over the years, whether it's for Everton, or whether it's been Man City and England. He's done really well. I thought Pickford, for the first time, looked a little bit rattled by certain things that happened in the game. Got a little bit ration. But I do think if England can just be a little bit hard at the beat and just solve them problems that are only minor, I think they're tweaks to the back four. They're not just massive.
Well, what's that tweak? Is it Mark Gay coming in for one of those?
Well, I said yesterday, I can't believe that the player Mark Gay 6 weeks before the tournament was absolutely whoever plays with him.
Yeah,
and he's been now. I don't think it's an injury. I'm led to believe that he chose John Stones over Konza.
Yeah,
with Konza, sorry.
Tuchel clearly loves John Stones because he's seen him as when he was Chelsea manager, absolutely ripping it up and being an incredible defender for Manchester City. He was almost a centre midfielder at times, the way that Pep City were playing at the time.
Well, John fit and he's best. He's an absolute...
Yes, but
he's a racehorse classic.
But he's not there now. That's the point.
No, he's not there now. Can he improve during the tournament? Yes, he can. Getting a little bit fitter or just a little bit more sharper. John didn't look sharp in the game. That was the one thing I felt that he was a little bit off. And he also playing on the left side slightly, I think, hurt him a little bit. Didn't quite have the same effect, but it looked a little bit disjointed. And I heard the boys in midweek, Darren Bent especially, talking about England at the back, and it was true. They looked a little bit out of shape.
England fans, want you to get in touch. Give us a text 81089. What tweaks does Thomas Tuchel need to make in that defence for us to ensure that, give England fans a bit more confidence that defensive backline isn't going to be a problem? Or you can call us 03717 223344. The phone lines are open, so if you call, you will get in touch. Yes,
another one I'd ask you as well, and the listeners, is that O'Reilly's been terrific for Man City this year. But he hasn't played quite as well for England. But he's new to the squad in relative terms. But we all know he's a top player, and he will grow, I'm sure, in the tournament.
And we've seen traditionally, particularly under Southgate, England grow into tournaments. Yeah. And so if that's the baseline, then I think there's plenty of confidence. This isn't us sort of slating England saying the defence is terrible, but it was clearly really the only real weakness in that game, I thought. But, Cass, we were talking about leadership a minute ago, and someone who's been doing the rounds and making the headlines is assistant manager Anthony Barry, who, of course, did that, what's now been quite a famous halftime interview with ITV, really diagnosing what the issues were. We saw the response from England in the second half. And talkSPORT also caught up with Dan Burn, who spoke about the impact that Barry's had on this side.
Yeah, I've not actually seen the halftime thing yet, but I have heard a lot about it. So, but yeah, I was with Baz at Wigan, and I think that was probably one of his first coaching jobs. But I feel like you knew back then there was something quite special about the way he went about it when he was taking drills. I feel like you really wanted to make whatever he was doing work because of the energy he put into it. And I think you've seen he's worked from sort of the very bottom to being like in different national teams and Champions League teams and stuff. So really happy for him. But as I said, he is another member of staff who sort of really sets the standard when we're out there. He doesn't let you just sort of go through the motions. He has high standards of what he demands from us.
Dan Burns speaking to talkSPORT, praising the leadership of Anthony Barry. And you've got to say, whether it's sort of Brian Clough, Peter Taylor, whether it's Sir Alex Ferguson, Carlos Queiroz, there's always, in any successful team cast, a world-class operator at number 2. And what I love about Anthony Barry is he didn't have a world-class playing career. Played at Yeovil, played at Chester, but he is now one of the most sought-after number 2s. And you've got to say that for Tuchel to be successful, he needs the people around him to be, and Anthony Barry seems to be hitting all the right notes.
Yeah, and not just Anthony Barry. There's the masseurs, there's the kit man. Everybody plays a part. It's a team effort. I'd always defend the group. I think club level it's exactly the same. If the amount of people who are involved in success is not just the obvious, the manager that gets the biggest praise and the players, and it's the people behind the scenes who are giving their absolute all to make everybody play their best football. And there'll be more than Anthony Barry, but he's as you said, he's right. Give him praise, absolutely. He's earned the right. He's earned his stripes. So, but there's always more. Loads more that you never hear anything about at a football club or international level.
Right, with the World Cup now fully underway, round 2 of talkSPORT's Predict 6 is officially live, and it's a rollover. We've upped the price to a whopping £35,000. That's a prize pot. Just predict 6 outcomes for a shot at that 35 grand. Head to talksport.com/predict6 by 6 p.m. tonight. That's talksport.com/predict6 for your chance to win £35,000. But entries close tonight at 6 p.m. Terms and conditions apply. UK only. 18 plus, 1 entry per customer. You're listening to the Weekend World Cup Breakfast on talkSPORT. We're going to chat MotoGP ahead of the Czech Grand Prix later this afternoon.
Now, earlier in the show, we asked the all-important question. Who was faster in their pomp? Kyle Walker or Gabby Agbonlahor? Well, talkSPORT's Anil Kandala was at the talkSPORT fan zone at Villa Park last night for England against Croatia, and he put that question to some of the fans in attendance.
It's a tough call, but I'd go for Gabby. He was awesome, and no defender wants anybody with that pace running at them. So I'd go for Gabby. I would.
Quicker than Kyle Walker?
I think so. Yeah, I do. And I'm sure Gabby would agree with me.
Gabby. Well, he used to dart across the field, didn't he? I think he's better than Kyle, to be honest.
Well, we had Kyle on loan for us for many years ago, and he was quick, but Gabby was quicker.
And there you go. It might be a little bit unfair because Gabby Agbonlahor is in that building behind me, but it seems that Gabby's got the vote.
Right, the rest of the world.
He actually spoke to about 100 people who were there, but we only decided to show 3, okay?
I clipped that up for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though? When I think about Kyle, when I go back to that game, Kyle, of like, I think it might be Germany at Wembley, and you was right side of the 3, but like you was all the way in the right back position, and I was at the game, mate, and you come sprinting across, mate. Someone was through on goal. I can't remember who it was.
Muller.
It was Muller, yeah. I'm like, where has this guy come from? And you've done that for the last 15, 16 years, mate. Your centre-half pairings with England and Manchester City must have been looking at you thinking like, okay, maybe I can leave a bit of space in behind, because you would always just come out of nowhere and cover.
Yeah, I think that was what my game was based on. You know, I probably didn't create that much going forward with assists and stuff. I chipped in with a few, but not as much as probably what I should have done. So my main game when I got a little bit older was to make sure I can cover the back.
Incredible.
Here's a great suggestion. Jill's a regular contributor. She says, why not get both of them in the car park? Said, my money's on Kyle.
Just about, yeah.
You know football.
I'll have to kick him first.
Any guesses, Cass, what country this song originates from? Oh.
It sounds a little bit Eastern Bloc, the voice.
It's not. If I give you the artist, Miki Matsuobara.
Oh. Okay. Argentina.
No. It's Japanese, Cass.
Oh, I'd never have said
Because, of course, they absolutely dominated Tunisia 4-0. Now level on points and goal difference.
How far can you be
with
wrong?
the Netherlands? No. Miki Matsuobara. That's not Argentinian.
Well,
name,
no, well, I didn't know. You didn't tell me a name. You didn't tell me a name. You just, I was listening. I was thinking, it sounds maybe. Well, now you say it. Yeah.
Well, look, Japan take on Sweden with a chance to top the group. The Netherlands also have Tunisia, who unfortunately have been the whipping boys of this group. But if you just tuned in, Japan were absolutely incredible. Yeah, so organised, so intense. Brilliant stuff. You can see why they're people's dark horses, can't you, Cass?
Yeah, well, I'm just a bit surprised. There's a lot of great Japanese records.
You got any in your locker?
Huh?
Got any Japanese records in your locker?
A Bigger Japan by Alphaville.
Yep.
The Vapors sung I'm Turning Japanese.
Yep.
They're two big songs from Japan.
There you go.
There's two. And there was a group called Japan as well.
Yeah, you were trying to ask me earlier what was your question? What other bands are named after a country?
Yeah. There's America. There's a band called America.
Just called America?
Yeah, America. Yeah, that's the only one I can think of, though.
Yeah, well, text in 81089 D research.
I don't think there's enough.
Just a band called Holland. We can't say that, though, it's Netherlands, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, right, in other news, MotoGP and its 5 core manufacturers have signed a single unified agreement securing their long-term presence on the grid from 2027 to 2031. That deal focuses on enhancing rider safety, driving global fan engagement and preserving the championship's DNA as the pinnacle of motorcycle racing. Exciting ahead of the Czech Grand Prix live over on talkSPORT 2 today. Delighted to say MotoGP's Chief Sporting Officer Carlos Ezpeleta is here for more. Good morning, Carlos.
Morning, how's it going, guys?
Yeah, doing well.
Hi, Carlos.
Tell us more about this deal that we're just reading about for MotoGP and what does it mean for fans and for the development of the sport?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big one for us. It's sort of the core agreement within the championship that we do every 5 years. Obviously, a lot of interest right now in MotoGP, through the acquisition of Liberty Media, and then, it's just been a good process for us getting together with the manufacturers and focusing on sort of the long-term growth of MotoGP and what we want to do for the fans. I think we'll have more news to announce soon, but we're looking at sort of all sides of the sport from the weekend format, of course, safety and how to continue running the sport together.
Carlos, we've seen sort of Formula One have a huge boom in popularity because of Drive to Survive. For my money, whenever I do watch MotoGP, there's more overtaking. It's riskier. I mean, there's always risk in motorsports. And the talent level is absolutely unbelievable. Do you look at the way that Formula One's developing in the sort of motorsport space and think we need to do that as well?
Yeah, so undoubtedly, I think we have sort of the most exciting sport on the planet, and definitely the most exciting motorsport. These guys, real athletes, and they really take it to a completely new level. So never meet anybody who comes to MotoGP and doesn't absolutely fall in love with the sport, immediately. We just continue to think of ways, to attract new audiences, but also to service the fans that we have now, because the global fandom is actually, much bigger than people sort of initially perceived. So, a lot to offer. I think the biggest value is that we don't have to fix the sport. The sport itself is not broken. So, we don't have any homework on that side, and we have solid foundation to continue to deliver the most exciting sport on earth.
Well, it's live on talkSPORT 2 today. Tell us about the exciting race and the championship battle that's going ahead.
The championship battle is clearly very much on. We have I think it's 7 riders within 70 points, and every weekend is 37. So I think we have over 300 points left, and we have 7 riders in contention. So the big talk is that the championship leader Bezzecchi has been disqualified for today's race after a problem, an incident with a marshal yesterday, and so that means that the championship fight is even warmer now. So big question mark over who wins the race today. I really hope all of you guys get to watch it, but for sure it's going to be an exciting race today.
You were just talking about the sort of the fan base and how it's a much bigger fan base than is perceived in MotoGP. Where in the world do you see, so what parts of the world do you have the most MotoGP fans?
So clearly, I mean, south of Europe is sort of the legacy and the core markets for us, being France, Spain, and Italy, and that is a lot of penetration per capita, I would say. But in total numbers of fandom, Southeast Asia is huge for us. India, Indonesia, Thailand, and China also. The number of MotoGP fans is amazing. So that's where we have our eyes set, together with the US, because the US, we see a huge opportunity, and definitely not forgetting about the UK, because that's where the sport was born. And we do have a British GP coming up 45 days from now. So welcome all you guys to join that, because it's typically sort of the best racing that we get on the calendar. So we also have a British rider this year with us for the rest of the season, Kyle Crutchlow. So really hoping to get all you guys there.
Carlos, mate, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good one.
Cheers, Carlos.
Same. Cheers, guys.
That is the MotoGP's Chief Sporting Officer, Carlos Ezpeleta there. A reminder, live today, the Czechia Moto Grand Prix on talkSPORT 2 at 1 p.m. The riders are set, the pressure is real, hear the engines roar for yourself. Watch MotoGP from Silverstone as well. You can book now, experience MotoGP for real life. And of course, you can watch every practice, qualifying and race exclusively live on talkSPORT. You're listening to the World Cup Weekend Breakfast on the radio, on YouTube, on your smart TV.
You mentioned Perisic. They've got players in their side, Modric. They're the wrong side of 35, right? These players have been in their team for a long, long time. And we're not struggling, but the first 45, I'm watching it thinking, how is this happening again?
But also, you've got to think, right? I get what you're saying, but also, there's going to be a few nerves kicking about.
Yeah.
Right? These guys, as you said there, have been around for such a long time, so they just understand, they're comfortable where they are. Modric, Perisic, these guys, they just know what it takes to get to that to get to that level. But it's I think there's a lot of boxes that Thomas Tuchel would have ticked. I thought the team selection he got wrong. But in my personal,
who do you get wrong?
I would have started Rashford.
Yeah, me too.
And Mark Gahey has to play. He has to play.
Talk about what you're saying outside about the balance of the centre halves.
Because John Stones, he naturally plays on the right hand side, right? And it's Maguire that usually plays on the left when it was those two. When you move John Stones out to the left, naturally he doesn't go that way to Nico O'Reilly, which is why he barely touched the ball. He couldn't go that way.
And Anthony Gordon hardly received the ball in the first
Exactly.
half.
Mark Gahey naturally plays on the left side, so he's used to receiving the ball from the right hand side and going out to the left. But that just wasn't there, which is why we hardly saw anything down that left hand side. But yeah, I would have started Mark Gahey and I would have started Rashford for sure. They would have been my first two not on the team sheet, but they're the two that I would have started.
So you would have started with Rashford on the left. What about the other side? Would you have started with Noni?
Yeah, probably, because Saka, I'm not sure. I don't know how fit Saka is.
Okay, looked good when he come on though.
Looked really good. Looked like hungry.
Yeah,
but that's a good problem you've got. But at the end of the day, the quality shone through second half. Even though there were moments towards the end of the second half before Rashford scored, I was thinking, oh my goodness, they're on top again. They're starting to move the ball. They're getting into their rhythm. Their substitutions made a big difference. But then Rashford comes on and just does what he does.
Yeah,
the sharp turn, the finish.
I mean, I don't necessarily think it's a problem that first 45 were a bit whiffy because
look at France.
I was just about to say, look at France. I mean, they had a rocket up their backside. They're a completely different side in the second half.
I told you about him, didn't I? I said, how often do I sit you
Write his name down? He's going to be a player.
I told you that, Mbappe.
Yeah,
World Cups, he's different.
We were talking on yesterday's show actually about after that night where Haaland and Mbappe and Messi all scored, Messi getting a hat-trick. It was, is there more pressure on Harry Kane to step up? And I think he stepped up last night.
We asked and you delivered, listeners. We've been talking about bands named after countries, after Japan beat Tunisia 4-0. And Pete, the West Ham fans got your back cast. You asked for bands with countries named after them. Swedish House Mafia.
I've never heard of them, Swedish House.
Miami Tour Bippy. You never heard of Swedish House Mafia?
No.
I've seen them. Unbelievable DJs they are.
Oh, right, they're DJs.
Yeah. Can you not tell? we got another one from Daniel. Right. Bob Marley.
Bob Marley?
Marley.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We like that one.
I was going to say Jamaica could be a band name, couldn't it? But it's not.
I think there is a band called Spain and there is a band called Brazil.
Right.
I've done my research.
Yeah.
So Japan aren't alone. But if you haven't seen the highlights, you need to go watch them. Japan 4, Tunisia 0. I've said it earlier in the show. I'm going to say it again. If I would rather England play Brazil in these knockout rounds than Japan. They looked absolutely incredible. But don't worry, we got loads more coming up on talkSPORT today. Yeah, from 10 a.m, it's the warm-up with Max Rushton and Charlie Baker, followed by the World Cup Weekender with Johnny Owen and Sean Dyche from 1 till 4 p.m. The new TikTok sensation, Sean Dyche. And some huge nations in action tonight, all of which we're providing live commentary of. As Natalie Sawyer brings you Spain versus Saudi Arabia at 4 p.m. Belgium, Iran is from 7. That's for Hugh Woozencroft. And to top it off, Ollie Klink brings you Cape Verde, my second team this tournament, against Uruguay, 10 p.m. till late. Be sure to keep it talkSPORT so you never miss a thing in this World Cup. Right, it's time now, though, to look ahead on our high-pressure picks with Shaw.
High-pressure picks on talkSPORT with Shaw. Non-stop protection deodorant that won't ever let you down.
Yeah, Spain are going to be aiming for their first victory of this World Cup in their Group H campaign with Saudi Arabia. They drew 0-0 with Cape Verde in their opening match and need a win to quiet the noise around what was last week's poor result. Happy to say, joining us now, friend of the show, it's Spanish football expert Terry Gibson. Good morning, Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Good morning, Max. Good morning, Tony.
Yeah, okay. Terry, I've got to ask you, because obviously your knowledge of Spanish football is extraordinary anyway, club level and international. But Spain, in their opening game, and I know it's the opening game, and it was a difficult game to watch, as in what you know, the talents on display. But it reminded me of Spain in Qatar, where the style reminded me of just pass, move way too often. Look, Nico Williams and Limel, Limel was not there. So in the starting line, which makes a massive difference. So I understand that. But they were a sideways and backwards passing team. Too much for me in that opening game.
Yeah, it was very reminiscent. It was Luis Enrique was manager, and whilst they were impressive to watch, there was no end product, very few attempts on goal. And that's exactly the feelings I had watching the game against Cape Verde. And I think that you look at Luis de la Fuente, he's coming for some criticism. I mean, he's got a lot of credit in the bank, so they're not calling for his head or anything like that yet. But it was a big surprise that Gavi was played in the front three, out wide on the left. Now, I know he wants to get Gavi back involved with the national team, but that's not his position. And I thought the changes that he made were too late. I thought he could have made changes earlier. I mean, they had so much possession, they could have taken off a centre-back and put an extra midfield player on. His argument that he wanted an extra midfield player, it holds weight if you're playing against a team of similar standard, but not when you're dominating possession and playing attack versus defence for almost the 90 minutes. You don't need Gavi playing out wide on the left. You don't need an extra midfield player to make up a numerical advantage in the centre of the pitch. They had that. They need goal scorers. They needed players that could beat opponents one-on-one and create chances. And there'll be some changes today, that's for sure. But it's not obvious what the changes are going to be today. Looking at the press, no one's any the wiser, I think, other than Danny Olmo definitely coming in. But no one's sure whether he's going to be coming in the midfield three or playing out wide on the left. So, and Lamine Yamal, I think, will play. Not so sure about Nico Williams. So the big hitters are coming back. But that was hugely disappointing. It's put them under pressure now. It's a shock to the system. It's a group they expected to win comfortably. They expected to win that game comfortably. And now they're playing a better team in Saudi Arabia than they faced in Cape Verde.
Do you read too much into it, though, Terry? Obviously, it's the biggest shock of the tournament so far. But we know that, even Spain themselves, they lost the opener in the 2010 World Cup. They won it. Argentina lost against Saudi Arabia in the last World Cup. They won it. And with the talent that Spain have got, they're European champions, is there an argument to say that it doesn't actually matter because Spain have got a top talented side and got a history of going on and doing well despite that.
Yeah, I mean, the scoreline, the result wasn't fatal for Spain, but it's not ideal. I mean, the two tough, that was the easiest game in the group, and they failed to win it. They're fortunate that the other game was a draw as well. I expect them to qualify. I expect them to win today, but it's not going to be a cakewalk for them. And you want to get off and running in the competition. You want your strikers to be scoring goals. You want the team to be in a confident mood going into what are going to be tougher games ahead. So it's the shock to the system might be a good thing for Spain. They've been knocking teams over for the last couple of years, scoring loads of goals. But this is the blueprint now. Saudi Arabia are going to play exactly like Cape Verde, loads of bodies back behind the ball. I suspect that other teams that are better than Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia, even in the knockout stages, if and when Spain get through, they'll look at that and think, well, the way to play against Spain is let them have the ball, defend deep, hit them on the counter-attack. And that's the blueprint how to beat Spain. I think Spain would prefer to play against a team that's more open, that fancies their chances of winning a game. And if the game is open, then Spain will probably beat you. But I think when teams come and play defensively against them, they've got to find the key to unlock the door. And is there a proven goal scorer in the centre-forward position? Oyarzabal has done extremely well. It's not his natural position. Most of his career has been playing out wide. But he's done a really good job playing up front for Spain because he gets served chances. Didn't get any in that first game. So they've got to give him a decent amount of chances to score against Saudi Arabia this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, and also their final game is Uruguay, which if you'd have said before the group stages, that would obviously be their toughest game.
Exactly. And Saudi Arabia put up a really good performance against Uruguay. So that shows today's game isn't going to be easy. That was allegedly, we thought that was going to be the decider to see who wins the group. And it's always an advantage to win the group. So Spain will desperately, I mean, they could win 5-0 today and the panic is over. But if they don't score in the first half an hour and Saudi Arabia are keeping them out, then the pressure builds. And it's not ideal going into this tournament. Yes, Argentina lost last time out when they eventually went on to win the trophy. But I remember the panic when I think Argentina had to get the win against Mexico and it wasn't coming. And eventually they sneaked through and ended up winning the tournament. Surely you want to avoid that if you're a team that has genuine ambitions of winning the competition. You don't want that stress in the first three group games.
Terry, while we've got you, there's been so many stories coming out of La Liga, whether it's sort of Marc Cucurella, Ibrahima Konate, Jose back at Real Madrid. It seems like they're doing this. There's this sort of big rebuild underway. Do you expect an exciting La Liga next season where Real Madrid can really challenge Barca?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that happens every year. And at this point in the last couple of seasons, it's 3 new defenders for Real Madrid. I wasn't convinced that's the area they needed to improve massively. They've now got 4 left-backs, so someone's going to have to move on. Konate coming in is good signing on a free transfer. Dumfries, we've seen, he's been an excellent player over the years. We're seeing that in the World Cup. So that'd be pressure for Trent Alexander-Arnold for the right-back position. I suspect if Jose's sanctioned these signings, that Dumfries will probably be ahead of Trent Alexander-Arnold when the first 11's picked at the start of the season. Bearing in mind how far the Netherlands go in the World Cup, we know that affects the team selection in the early stages of the season, but I expect Dumfries to be first choice right back. Now they needed a creative midfielder. They've got Bernardo Silva, so that's another one. So it's going to be exciting. Great news last night, Malaga getting promotion as well, the second division playoffs. We've got Deportivo La Coruña, Racing Santander and Malaga back in the top division. So it's a bit retro La Liga next season. And certainly with Jose back, he fits that narrative.
Terry, I've got to ask you on Real Madrid just generally. Well, last season they knocked out Manchester City comfortably in the Champions League, and then they fell off a cliff.
Yep, they were close against Bayern Munich. It was closer than I thought it was going to be, actually. It wasn't until Camavinga got sent off in the late stages of the second leg that they folded. So they're hit and miss, and I think they were. It was a damaging season from the first season when they didn't win any trophies. Last season was critical. Xabi Alonso losing his job was ridiculous, in my opinion. And the manager that replaced him was ridiculous, in my opinion. 6 months as manager of the B team and then gets the job at Real Madrid. And he was well above his pay grade. By the end of the season, it was like Real Madrid didn't have a manager and the players were running the show. So they've certainly got a manager now. I can't wait. I mean, Jose's got his detractors, but he brings attention to a league, and Barcelona, Real Madrid games next season, as always, but even be a little bit more spicy, with Jose up against Hansi Flick.
I've got to ask you while you're here, Terry, about the sort of Anthony Gordon, Marcus Rashford situation. You can't help but feel a little bit for Marcus Rashford. They've paid big bucks for Anthony Gordon. Marcus Rashford's now in a little bit of limbo. They've got great competition in the England side. What do you make of it, and what do you think is going to happen in terms of Rashford's future at Barca?
I think he'll stay. I think they're trying to do a deal on the cheap to try and get him on loan again. I'm surprised at the Anthony Gordon signing, but I'm beginning to think now that Rafinha might be on his way. And I say that he's had a few seasons at Barcelona where he struggled, and he had one spectacular season. Last season wasn't his best due to injury, kept getting injured, about 3 or 4 muscle injuries. He's now injured again in the World Cup for Brazil. And at the age of 29, I think there's a big offer hanging from Saudi Arabia, which might entice the player, and it might entice Barcelona. So I think that they might actually get the money that they paid on Anthony Gordon back from selling Rafinha. And I think that's the way forward. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Anthony Gordon and Rashford at Barcelona next season.
Who do you think is the better player? Which player suits Barcelona more?
Well, Rashford did extremely well last season. He was fortunate that a lot of the attacking players were missing through injury. Lamine Yamal at the end of the season, Rafinha at the beginning of the season, Lewandowski was injured, so players were playing in different positions. He was the one constant. He was always fit, and he played well. He made goals. He was a popular member of the squad. And then he, of course, scoring the goal in the Clasico with an incredible free kick. He endeared himself to the public. He worked hard. He looked a really good player, which we know he is. The club suited him. The style of play suited him. I would think that Anthony Gordon has got a job on his hands if they keep Rashford to be the first choice player in the first game of the season. And we're seeing the competition for England now, which is a good thing for Tuchel. He can, pick and choose whichever one's playing best. He's blessed to have 2 really good players playing on the left wing. But the Anthony Gordon one surprised me. But when you look in more detail and you hear the rumours about Rafinha, then he's picked up another injury again. I wouldn't be surprised to see him move on from the club.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that one. Terry, thanks so much for your time, mate. We'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, Terry.
Yeah.
All the best.
Cheers, mate.
That is our Spanish football expert, Terry Gibson, giving us a little bit of preview on La Liga, but as well ahead of that Spain game against Saudi Arabia, live on talkSPORT, kickoff at 5 p.m. That was a look ahead with Shaw, non-stop protection deodorant that won't ever let you down.
High pressure picks on talkSPORT with Shaw, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
I'm surprised to hear Rafinha. There's talks of Rafinha might leave.
Oh, Terry's terrific. Really is. His knowledge of Spanish football obviously works on it, so that's a massive advantage. But, Rafinha, 29, and like you said, niggles. Yeah. Of course, and you're buying right side, or you've already got Anthony Gordon who can come in left side or right side, well, either way you want to play him. So, Barcelona and Real Madrid always make big decisions. Like, when he said there, Trent, would he be first choice?
No.
And Trent might have gone there. I think Madam only had a couple of years, and Michael Owen did less than 2, I think, at Real Madrid. Sometimes that's what happens when you go to these Spanish giants. It can be a glamorous move, but there's very few that have the length of time that Gareth Bale did. There's very few that get that at these clubs. Beckham.
Would you take Trent back at Liverpool?
What did he pay? The type of manager we got, yeah. I mean, I'm not so sure Liverpool fans would be too delighted because, they're not keen on their players thinking the grass is greener elsewhere and then coming back. But you never know. He was a great player for Liverpool. That's all I can, say. He was definitely that. It's whether, a new manager and only Areola will come in and go, that's what the sort of player I'd take back.
Interesting La Liga season ahead for some English players, whether it's Trent fighting for his position at Real Madrid and whether we could see a Barcelona with English wingers, both Anthony Gordon and Marcus Rashford. Terry Gibson telling us there that there's rumours, there's talks and whispers that Rafinha could be on his way out of the club. You're listening to the Weekend World Cup Breakfast on talkSPORT. We're going to chat Belgium next and hear an interesting take on France's Kylian Mbappe.
were just chatting off air about Terry Venables and Euro 96. You're getting Euro 96 vibes already.
Well, I'm getting England-Holland Euro 96 vibes, 100%, because, I was very fortunate enough to know Terry, as I'm sure you two did. And, I asked him about that game. We used to do a show together on Saturdays on the radio about football. And, he said, I just threw 7 forwards on. Everybody could play in attack. Even the sort of back four, we were very sort of front-footed thinking. And he said, don't worry about how many goals they're going to score. Just score more goals than them. And then you have them on the back foot and they can't get out of their own half anyway. Yeah. And you were there for England-Holland at Wembley Stadium. I was there when the scoreboard said England 4, Holland 0. I mean, they did score a goal, but we did see 4-0 for a while. And last night was very, very reminiscent of that, and they talk about total football. That was as close as we got. And, I'm fascinated by managers and what they say and what makes the difference between an Alex Ferguson and an Arsene Wenger and a Thomas Tuchel compared to the others. Ancelotti, I know you're a big fan of, and he's been on the show. Yeah. And it's great, isn't it, because Harry, the thing about Tuchel is he's just saying what he thinks, even right before the game. He's saying, well, we're going to do this because they're going to do that. And if they're watching, they know what he's going to do. But he's so organised in a way that's sort of, quite off-putting for the opposition, I would imagine. And then Harry Kane does a Thomas Tuchel after the match because he tells you exactly what Tuchel told them at half time, which was basically, lads, I thought we had a deal here. You're gonna play like you don't care, like you're back in the playground, and in the first half you didn't do that, boys. We had an agreement. Can we just go out and do that? And they all went, oh yeah, we remember.
Good morning, it's the final section of the Weekend World Cup Breakfast. Max and Charlie following me and Tony Cascarino. And just a reminder, talkSPORT are an official radio broadcaster of the FIFA World Cup 2026. And to celebrate, we're giving you the chance to win £26,000 in cash. And the best part, it is completely tax-free. That's right, £26,000 could be yours. Fund your summer and enter now. Here is how. For your chance to win, visit talksportwin.com or text WIN to 83338 by 6 p.m. on the 20th of July 2026. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or send your name and number by post to COMP1 PO Box 3190 Colchester CO2 8GP to arrive by midnight on the 23rd of July 2026. 18 plus UK residents only, so for your chance to win, text WIN to 83333 now. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksportwin.com. Cass, one team we've not spoken about, a team in action against Iran. 8 o'clock kickoff presented by Hugh Woozencroft. Belgium versus Iran. They're looking to take a big leap forward towards qualification for the knockout stage of the World Cup, but they've got to avoid succumbing to an upset at the hands of Iran. You wouldn't think so, but Belgium over the past few tournaments have sort of, they've, in recent years, they've had a bit of a golden generation for them, not quite been there. What should we expect from Belgium, Cass?
I'm always concerned that Belgium will fall apart in some way because they've had so much talent. I go back to the Eden Hazard days and when they had a really great side and De Bruyne at his best and Lukaku getting goals. What a side they were. And many, many others. Vertonghen at the back, Vermaelen. I remember them playing Brazil and beating Brazil in the 2018 World Cup 1-0. And Hazard was amazing that night. And that team, you felt, as good as they were, they should have gone on to have made the final in that World Cup. And they seem to let you down. I think Belgium are not going to be nowhere near as good as the teams they've had before. They're in a pretty reasonable group, as in New Zealand, Iran, and Egypt.
But they only got a draw.
It was a late equaliser, wasn't it? I think against
Egypt. Own goal.
Yeah, an own goal. Yeah, they're a strange side. Look at Kevin De Bruyne. He's still a player that can produce great performances, but he's been injury plagued really and didn't play as much as probably idolite for Napoli because of injury. He's back for the World Cup. Him at his best, he can make things happen. But Lukaku's been unfit for quite a long time. Again, another person that's set his record at goals for Belgium. A strange team, Belgium, always have.
Yeah, I can't help but feel that they're past their best in terms of their golden generation. I can't see them going particularly far. A reminder again, that one's live on talkSPORT. And also a reminder that the latest episode of How to Win the World Cup is now live. Forest fan comedian Matt Ford is alongside 98 World Cup winner Emmanuel Petit and comedian Chloe Petts to unpack England's win over Croatia and an impressive win for France over Senegal. And interestingly, Manny Petit says Mbappe looked like he felt the weight of expectation in France's first game of the tournament.
If I look at Kylian Mbappe, I thought he was really nervous at the first half.
That's interesting. It's not something we associate with him.
Yeah, because he's got experience, the confidence. He's one of the best players in the world for years now. You should have expected something different, from him. But he looked really nervous. Is it because he heard so many noises, for the last weeks about Dembele, about Olise, about Doué? Maybe he had something to prove against Senegal, that he's still the star of the team and I'm the leader of that team. So he proved it in the second half. This is exactly what you expect from great players. You have the right not to play well, but you have the right as well to respond if you have the chance to do it. And this is exactly what he did in the second half.
Manny Petit, with an interesting take there, sort of speaking about Kylian Mbappe, thinking he potentially was nervous in that first half against Senegal. A reminder, you can listen to that podcast, How to Win a World Cup, wherever you get your podcast. Cass, do you sort of agree with that? Do you sort of think that's the right take? What are you chuckling at?
I'm laughing because I don't ever remember being nervous in the first half and being okay in the second.
But to be fair, Senegal, tough team.
They are. I mean, you could say maybe he's a bit off his game for whatever reason.
Well, he's had a funny season at Madrid. He's still been scoring goals, but he's been under a lot of pressure. Millions signed a petition for him to get out of the club because when he was injured, he went away
that's
for
a
weekend.
backstory in itself, Max, because he didn't join them the first time round and he sort of turned Real Madrid down and there was a little bit of, you've turned your nose up and stayed with PSG. And he sort of run the show at PSG by all accounts. And I don't think it was more nerves. I wouldn't have said nerves in the first half. It's just the team didn't play well in the first half. It wasn't just him. But what he did do in the second, he showed an incredible confidence. The Olise pass to him and the way he took it. And then, Mbappe gets going. He's one hell of a striker. I don't know how you manage him at times because he has got that incredible ego. But if you get him going, like he did in 2018, if he gets going, and he's still relatively young, he's lightning quick and he's devastating. And he's also got the confidence to know he can do it. How many players get stick who get a goal a game ratio? I mean, that is mental.
I think the reason he gets stick, though, Cass, is precisely because of what you just said. He's just got this huge ego. And we've seen that in action.
And Real Madrid didn't do anything. They didn't win the Spanish La Liga. No. They got knocked out the Champions League. So this is a club where expectations is you make finals at least in the Champions League, or if you don't win the Liga, you're going to get criticised. That's how it goes in Spain. They're expected to win it every year, or in the Real Madrid fans' minds. And the club.
France taking on Iraq tomorrow, 10
I'm doing that game.
Well, I was just about to say, Cass. Presented by Natalie Sawyer, commentary for me and Danta, and former Republic of Ireland striker, 2-time World Cup appearances, is Tony Cascarino. Look, I think too much was made of that first half being so poor against Senegal, who should have been ahead, by the way. Senegal should have gone into half-time ahead in that game. A bit like the first half England against Croatia. We made a lot of it. Kylian Mbappe is surely going to be on the score sheet. And there's all this talk about being nervous or whatever from Manny Petit. It'd be an easy bet to put him on being on the Golden Boot winner by the end of the tournament.
He'll have every chance. He's in a group. He can get goals. I did the Iraq-Norway game where Iraq were really good for an hour. And the moment you had to make changes and substitutions, literally Norway blew them away. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised because, by the way, France have got some subs that can come on that are unbelievable.
They're scary. France scare me.
And Mbappe will get chances. Do I expect him to score? Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
Because he's that good. I think everyone... It's a bit like I said about Jude Bellingham earlier, Max. There are some players you criticise because you know they're actually better than what they do.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Kylian Mbappe is exactly the same. No matter what you say about him, guarantee scoring against Iraq with Cas on comms. But reminder, huge nations in action tonight, all of which we're going to provide live commentary of. Natalie Sawyer brings you Spain against Saudi Arabia from 4 p.m. The pressure is on. Then we've got Belgium-Iran from 7. That's with Hugh Wozencroft. And to top it off, Holly Klink brings you Cape Verde versus Uruguay, 10 p.m. till late. Cass, it's been an absolute pleasure. See you next weekend,
Yeah,
mate.
see you next weekend, Max.
Thanks for listening, guys, to the Weekend World Cup Breakfast. Up next, it's the warm-up with Max Rushton and Charlie Baker.
Simon, from Southgate to Tuchel, was this the front-footed difference that you have been wishing?
Oh, definitely. I mean, for a number of reasons, for the reasons that Brad's laid out in terms of the substitutions, from the manner in which this is rock and roll football. This is what we saw with Jurgen Klopp in the second half. Interesting that Tuchel needs to have a reinforcement at half-time, because you would have assumed that that conversation had happened before the game and that they were told to get on the front foot before the game. And England looked quite nervous when they started, and they weren't, for the first 5 or 10 minutes, I thought they weren't really at it. You know, I think the performance in the second half, I was sitting next to Brad, and he was saying to me, and I think I'm right in quoting him, is that this is the best attacking formation or attacking performance that we've seen in the World Cup so far, in terms of the way that they put it upon the Croatians. Whatever we may have created in the media about how old this Croatian team is, Troy was saying me off air that